And hello everybody, welcome to tonight's episode of Adventure Rolls Winds of Calamity, the wrap-up Q&A session with a new overlay and a brand new mic because mine decided it wanted to die last week. So, all that fun stuff. We are so glad that you're all here with us at the end of all things, where we get to answer your ultimate burning questions and also get a little tease of what's coming next. Stay tuned. So with all of that, everyone, again, thank you all so much for joining us. If you're just now joining us, I am Literary DM. I am the Dungeon Master for this adventure. I also make weekly D&D videos where I talk about random D&D subjects. This week, we're actually going back to an old series known as D&D Basics, where I talk about multi-classing and how it is done in D&D 5th edition, specifically the 2014 version. So, because who knows if there's going to be an update regarding the 2024 version. So with that, that is enough for me for right now. And we're going to hop on over with, the layout's a little bit different, so we're going to go ahead and hop on over here, starting with Mike.
Hello everyone, my name is Mike, also known as Bardic Dice on all of the socials. I'm also a D&D streamer, both here on YouTube and Twitch at Bardic Dice. We're do a bi-weekly kind of schedule. We swap every week. This week is Call of the Netherdeep over on Twitch, which is really fun. Top Town Tabletop and Sassy Fire and Kojak from the Tavern. It's a whole lot of fun if you like any of the Critical Role stuff and whatnot. Great role play. So that's 7:30 CST live on Twitch. You can always check the VODs on YouTube. And then on the off weeks between that game, we are releasing our pre-recorded game of Fates Apart, spiritual successor for Fates United, which is getting into some really juicy stuff that I'm excited to show you. So that'll be next week. That'll be revealing, I think, episode 4 we're up to now. So just kind of follow that in the Discord and all that kind of stuff. But today I play Michael, who normally plays one half of the Twilight Twin duo, Avum, who is a level 20 Oracle / Rogue.
Yeah, so go check out Mike on all the various socials for some amazing D&D games, all that good stuff, because hey, there's going to be a gap between Winds of Calamity, so you got plenty of time to get caught up on stuff. So with that, I'm going to go hop on over to the other half of the Twilight Twin duo, as well as one of our official artists for the stream, Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel, also known as Pip. You can find all my art over on Instagram at Pip400art. That's where I post it. You can also come hang out with me while I draw on Mondays over at Marky Gaming on Twitch at 3:30 CST. I'll just do sketches of my own characters or NPC art or commissions or whatever it is I'm doing. So it's fun. We like to have talks and I don't know. I don't even remember what we talked about. It was like all over the place on Monday. It was fun. So it was good. So come hang out there. And then in this whole game in the past 2.5 years, I played, that's so weird to say played, Scissory, a Tweely Paladin Rogue, mostly Paladin, who rolled a 55 Persuasion last week. And I still think about it and I'm like, hee hee. So that's all I have to say.
It was absolutely ridiculous how high that the highest number I think I've ever seen in my entire life playing D&D, or at least close to it. But regardless, go and check out Rachel on all the various socials for some amazing art. And then hopping on down, we have the other half of the Marquee Gaming duo with Mark.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm Mark. I stream with Rach. I think she's above me on this layout, if I remember right seeing it. Yeah, there she is. So yeah, we hang out on Market Gaming. We have a D&D game we play on Sundays at 7 p.m. CST called Mystical Mishaps with Rachel and Mike as players, IDM. We have 2 other awesome players there. And the chat is sort of a player as well because they get to interact with their channel points and affect the game and cause some craziness. So, and my goodness, this upcoming session. Just saying. All right. But I played Attic, and he is a Sheikah Artificer. So, yeah, that's him.
Yeah, so go and check out Mark, again, on YouTube and Twitch for some amazing D&D games. Again, you got time to get caught up on some stuff for some great D&D games going on in the Tavern. And with that, we're going to go ahead and hop on over. He's been absent for a little bit, came back for a little cameo for the second half with Silent.
Hello, my name is Silent. As some of you know already, I played Aaron, and yes, unfortunately, I did have to drop out for a little bit, but able to come back for one last fight with the group, which was fun. In terms of what I've been doing, YouTube, Silent Legend, Twitch, Silent Legend also. A little harder to spell. I'm currently in the process of rebranding to make it at least a little bit easier to find by just typing in stuff. Yeah. I played Aaron, Ranger Fighter. I don't know what else to say, honestly. Yeah, intro. God, it's been a while.
Yes, it has been a while. So with that, yes, go check out Silent on all the various socials. His name is spelled out. Yes, I did have to go to his Twitch to copy and paste it to remake the layout. So, but yes, it's all right there. Go and check out for some amazing gameplay, all that great stuff. And then rounding things out, we have our other official artist for the stream with Dealey.
Hi, yep, Dealey, aka Raphazel, on all the social stuff. Super fun. And yeah, I do art and I post it. And here I played Demi. She was a are we okay? Oh, is it?
A little bit.
Uh-oh. That's not good. Let's... Settings, guys. This is microphones. I played Demi, who was 3 levels of Echo Knight Fighter and 17 Bard creation. So, I love the creation Bard. I want to play it all the time. I have a feeling that subclass could get along and away with a lot of things. So, don't be surprised if in the future, in the talk about your character chat, I talk about another creation Bard at some point in the future. I don't have any plans for one right now, but I would love to play another one. They're super, super fun. So, highly recommend that subclass. And yeah, I'm gonna miss her, but thanks for hanging out with us.
Yes, absolutely. Creation Bard is absolutely wild. It's one of those things of, oh yeah, this is a strong class, but you don't realize how strong until it gets played. So, definitely one of those subclasses I will throw it under. But it was definitely a lot of fun to see it get used, especially in a very creative way. So, yeah, with that, as a reminder, if you ever need to jump off this VOD for any reason, the good news is you'll be able to pick up exactly where you left off, so you are good to go there. And this Q&A will also be made available in podcast form next week, so you can catch the epilogue right now wherever podcasts are available and go from there. So apart from that, I think that's all of our announcements. As will be mentioned at the end of the episode, we will be back. We're going to be taking a very long couple months hiatus to allow me time to recoup. So, but the good news is, as mentioned, plenty of D&D stuff going on. So, I think with that, we're not going to do an intro tonight because, well, hope has been reclaimed. So, we'll go ahead and thanks again, Mike, for making that intro. It was absolutely incredible. So with that, let's go ahead and just dive into the questions, everybody? Want to dive into the questions, chat? All right. So we're going to go ahead and start with a question that's for everybody, so generally the players. What was a goal/idea that you had wanted to reach with your character, either at the start or through the campaign?
Well, as the main character, no, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Main character syndrome, maybe.
Yeah. I think we all know who the real main character was.
We should roll these for everyone. Questions.
Yeah. Roll the d20, because that's the only way it's going to be rolled tonight.
Last dice use of my beautiful dice.
It's funny, I started using these for Aaron specifically, but they roll so well, I just use them for all my characters.
You use them all the time. I had 11.
Got a 5.
8.
9.
Really? You're muted. Oh.
14. I was trying to find a dice.
You
I
win!
didn't bring him out.
You win! So you get to go first if you want.
For Demi, I mean, I had been watching the game being played for a while at that point, and I think it was just to fill in a role with spells and, that kind of stuff. I kind of made her a blank slate a little bit just to comfortably come into the party, and it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I have this super intense backstory that we need to address, and now, you know, Lit needs to do a ton of stuff, or, you know, like, because I didn't know how long I was going to be in it anyways. And so it was just one of those things that was like, you're kind of, like, I was kind of playing with this, like, okay, how do I integrate in the party and help them, but also if I'm out, that it's not going to, like, leave a big hole or be like, oh, yeah, Demi had that whole thing, didn't address it, you know, her village is all burned down now, like, oh well, we'll just continue being heroes. Like, I didn't want it being, like, such, like, a big plot hole. And, yeah. And I think over the course, she just wanted friends, I think was, you know, and just to be helpful is kind of just, like, her through line for everything, was just trying to help people and trying to just fill that support, I guess. That's kind of the end goal for her. And I'm happy for it. I feel like it came across how I wanted, so yeah.
Perfect. Very honestly, and I think Demi definitely filled that role. And definitely, I was very appreciative of Demi being able to come in and fill the gap, especially when we were unsure of where Aaron was going to be and all that. So it definitely helped fill a nice little void for the intern with that. So I think next up, if we wanted to go in the order, was going to be Scisri, actually.
With me. Yeah, so she was definitely more of a simple concept. I told, like, I wanted her to just be bored out of her mind and not be where she was. That was, like, my big thing for her. I wanted her to be reckless because I hadn't made a reckless character before, and I thought it might be fun. And I wanted to have a little bit of mystery too, so that's where, you know, I think Mike and I both told Lit, like, just we have a week we don't remember, so you just do whatever you want with that. That'll be interesting. And that is what kind of ended up shaping, I think, a lot of, like, that like, more of a reason behind her exploration and different things later, and her growth. So but yeah, overall my goal was just pretty simple for her, and I was just gonna see what happened. I didn't have, like, a huge arc for her planned in my head, aside from I'd like if she becomes responsible, but, you know, she might not, I don't know. So, but she did. I feel like she is. There were times I feel like near the end there she was more responsible than Ava, but she had to kind of keep in line, so they kind of swapped roles a little bit there.
I mean, she's not wrong.
Well, next up would have been Attic with a 9.
Yeah, so for Attic, I mean, there was a lot of stuff at the start, because, I mean, early talkings with Lit about characters and, like, getting concepts. I wanted to do a Artificer, because I thought that just sounded super fun. I love Artificer so much. It's one of my favorite classes easily to play. And that's Loctashika. I also wanted to either play a potential Goron or potentially a Gerudo too at the start. So I was like, oh, it's Loctashika. What if I combine a Sheikah and a Gerudo? Because I like all works kind of with Breath of the Wild lore, how that could be connected pretty easily. So I thought that would be fun. And then I wanted to just play a character different because we were playing Fates with Mike at the time, and I just wanted to be a different character than Zach was. And Attic and Zach are completely different characters, so I wanted to be something different, and that's kind of the weird origin of Attic, giving it to Lit and be like, do something crazy with this if you want to. Otherwise, you can make it a weird superstition that's nothing. Your choice. And then, I don't know, just being an artificer and being able to be creative and having some fun with that class.
Yeah. I remember specifically when you gave me that pitch and you're like, oh, well, he's going to have like male Gerudo blood. And you being a Zelda fan, I knew I could do like the double speak of getting permission to do this without directly asking, of saying, okay, as a Zelda fan, you know what this implies, right? And you're like, yes. I was like, great. Which, oddly enough, actually kind of Attic doing that specifically then made me realize, well, if Demise is here, now who is there a hero? And so that kind of got me on this train of thought of like, okay, how am I going to handle that? How am I going to do that? And you were playing Twilight Princess at the time, and I was talking with Rach about how we would do her paladin abilities, and I saw you doing a training sequence with the hero Shade.
That's fun.
And that I was like, I got it. Like, and then I just immediately started writing it down. I was like, this can work. We're gonna leave it open to where if Scissory even wants to do this. And ironically, it led into her becoming more responsible. So it's just really funny how all that one question gave a ripple effect.
That's cool.
Which is something that I absolutely love. So yeah, no, I think that one question literally changed the course of how the campaign was going to be done, actually.
Wow.
So
it's fun. I love that.
So then next up would have been Avum, I believe.
Yeah, Avum was fun to create and kind of like, I'm always big on layers to my characters and flaws and giving them like an arc, a trajectory, something to aim for in the game to shoot for, but also have a starting point to have them like not already be there. And so when Rachel and I were talking and, you know, like all the characters were like, hey, do you want to like connect the characters somehow? And then we talked about, ended up just relating them and then the twin thing. It was kind of easy at that point because I was like, well, are they going to be, you know, and funny enough, I've actually dated a twin. So it's like, well, you're either a twin that's super the same or they're competitive and opposites. And we're like, well, I have to be opposites. That's just fun. And so I basically waited until Rachel made Scissory and said, okay, what are your proficiencies? I got the opposite. What are you into? I'm into the opposite. So a lot of it was just the opposite of her. And so knowing that she was gung-ho and happy about everything, it was very easy to be like, all right, cool, this will be fun to play the a-hole who shuts himself in and is grumpy and doesn't like people, and I was just played Renan and all that stuff, so I was like, well, this would be fun. So then realizing, well, if he's a shut-in and grumpy and doesn't want to be the adventurous one, he'll be the reluctant hero sort of thing, and not even hero, but just the one being pulled into the adventure. So that's kind of where his was, and then we created the crutch. We actually did an RP where we did the crutch backstory moment, where super simple. They went exploring in woods, and Scissory climbed into a tree and then fell out and broke her leg. And at that point, Avum's like, "Oh my gosh, this is awful. This is dangerous. This is absolutely cannot happen." And so he had this like intense fear in him the whole time. So that's actually what held him back the most in the beginning, was fear. So being able to accomplish and overcome that in a way that wasn't too, what's the word? Diverting to the group dynamic. And that made it easy being Scissory's twins. It was like, well, I'm here to protect her. And then from there, the cracks of opening them up can come in. So just having him go from being pulled along and there just for Scissory to then being there for a purpose and then finding his own purpose in life, because the other part of it was I wanted to make someone that thinks he's very smart but actually isn't, but then has like one or two specific mysteries that he's obsessed with, and so he knows everything about that. So that's where Watches in Time came in.
Yeah, it was very funny to see all of that unfold during the conversations, because I remember even you two had actually a written dialogue between you both when you like just got to the light world, like how you got to the light world and stuff like that. And eventually And that was actually very helpful for me as a DM, because I saw that, I was like, okay, I got an idea what their dynamic is going to be, and that's where a lot of the ideas of everything that involved them, their stories in the Twilight Realm, I would jump back to that every once in a while to see, does this still fit before it got cemented. So it was very fun to see how that all unfolded, just even in general conversation. So, and then even developed.
That was fun for us too, because I think we were able to establish in that role play, we were able to establish the dynamic between them a little bit, because we were able to kind of write it out. So then by the time first session rolls around, like, we kind of had a pretty good idea of like, okay, this is how they act with each other, and we could like launch into it pretty quickly versus, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's
not
actually
knowing.
That's actually a tip I would give out there to dungeon masters. If you get players out there who are going to be siblings, give them a chance to even do like a little bit of narrative RP ahead of time to get into the headspace, so that way they have no idea, and you can even build up history then. So that's actually a little tip there. It's really helpful. So then rounding things out, this one I think is going to be a lot of fun with Aaron, because this one was fun.
This one actually, when I first made Aaron, he was a very experimental, because I never really, at the time I haven't played much of any of like the beast-like races in D&D. So I've only ever played like elf, well, not even half elf and human. Those are like the only two races I played up until Winds, where I said, why not? I'll play Aarakocra, and it's it's literally just copy paste of a Rito, so let's just do that. And funny enough, because I got curious now as I looked at the background that I wrote for Aaron, there was no mention of Shadowclaw whatsoever. He was actually a guard for Rito Village, like a guardsman. But as we were playing, and I kind of picked up on like kind of like the espionage stuff that you were kind of seeding in with like the whole mysteries and stuff. I was like, why don't I just have him be a part of that? And I messaged it. This was, I think it was like what, first session, second session?
It was like first or second session. I think it was during the session, actually.
Yeah. During the session, I was like, I just really quickly, I DM'd Lit. Like, hey, why can't I have Aaron be like part of those like super secret spy group? And then literally the next session, it happened. I was like, awesome. And because of that, all of Aaron's problems became real. So.
Oh yeah. That was something. This is a general thing. That was something that I was experimenting with, but wasn't expecting for it to fully come up, because the Yiga clan are a very secretive group. So there's going to be a little bit espionage thing. That's kind of what I was leaning into with that. And then you decided, oh, I want to join the Shadowclaw organization. Awesome, great, let's do it. We got you a handler, and I'll never forget, you brought up specifically, as a joke, mind you, Snake.
Yeah.
And we'll get into this later, but I'm going to say ahead of time, that's probably one of my favorite encounters ever, because I made a joke a reality. But yeah, no, that was just something I had a lot of fun with. That one was seeing the character come to life, basically as the game was going. It's definitely leans into the element of like, what I like to say a lot, sometimes you don't know the character fully, completely when you go in, and by the time you're done, they're completely different.
Oh yeah.
A small interjection,
Yeah.
Lit, just because you made the line, like, little lines becoming reality in game.
Yes.
It's actually one of my really favorite things about this campaign. And I know, like, I am meta a lot in this game, but things like dopers, things like Snake, like, there's just so many things that were kind of throwaway punchlines that ended up becoming in canon things that actually fit. And it was actually a really, I think, light aspect of the game that matched the vibe of the game. So I really enjoyed that aspect.
Oh yeah. Well,
I agree.
That's something I like to do as a dungeon master, is pay attention to what the players are talking about. Sometimes they're coming up with plot points that are like, that's a better idea, or like, that could be fun later down the road without breaking continuity of the game. Like bringing up Snake. That's been established, that's a joke, but now I can make that a reality, and now it's the players and dungeon masters working together to tell the story. And but yeah, that definitely right now for me is a highlight, just getting a payoff for a stupid joke. But yeah, no, I totally agree. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on to a question specifically for me that I think a lot of some people out there would probably be wondering. What did I originally have planned for the Four Sword / Windfish?
Oh, man.
So this is a big one, and this is why we're getting this out of the way right away, because it actually speaks to how I wrote the campaign originally. How I wrote the campaign originally was separated into 3 different books. So book 1 was basically like episodes 1 through 10. Book 2 can be categorized as 11 through 40. And then the final book would have been like basically the rest of the campaign. Book 1 basically happened kind of how I was anticipating. It was a very starting adventure. Book 2 got completely rewritten because it was originally supposed to focus more on gathering the spiritual stones. That didn't happen. We went a different direction because you all were interjecting different ideas and concepts. It was very clear that the campaign was going in a more like political espionage type tone. So it's like, okay, I'm going to rewrite around that. And then the third, what I was kind of teasing and maybe would have gone is after the Calamity, the Master Sword actually would have been broken because of the Calamity. And then that part would have been focused on reforging it via the Sacred Flames from Skyward Sword. And you would have gotten the Four Sword and then potentially had the opportunity to fuse the Master Sword and Four Sword together.
Oh, that would have been cool.
That is a concept I was teasing with, but I abandoned it for two reasons. One, Tears of the Kingdom trailer launched, and what did it have? A broken Master Sword. So that was trippy to see, by the way. Me having this potential idea, and then suddenly there's a broken Master Sword in the next Zelda game.
Obviously, Nintendo watches your stuff lit.
I wrote this concept back in 2021, mind you. So and then also, and more importantly, I realized, because we were leading down, because Sisri accepted the role as the hero, that unintentionally would have made Sisri the main character. So I scrapped it, I rewrote it to basically more or less what we had. So the Four Sword then transitioned to being something that the party could acquire. So it was always something that was just as an option. If they go get it, awesome. If they don't, no worries.
Can I interject really fast and say that I do think you did a really good job at making no one feel like the main character, and like a lot of the concepts you could have really leaned into making a few of us like the main character with some of the roles, but everyone felt like they had stuff going on and equal attention, and that was good because I know that can be hard sometimes.
Oh yeah, good. That was my biggest concern, because I wanted to be like, yeah, she's the hero, but also if you look at other Zelda games, there's a good amount of the games where he is just a small fraction of the piece. Like, there's always the sages, there's always Zelda. He is just a small fraction of getting the big bad defeated. So, and then with that, the Four Sword just became a thing that they could go get, a way to help the combat. And the moment, basically, that General Onyx was defeated, it became a thing of, you can still go get it, but consequences for time are going to start to take into effect. So basically, that's more or less what happened. It was a concept I was toying with, then eventually it just became a thing that they could go after if they wanted to, and then it just became a time crunch. So there was a whole plot line, there was a whole quest, but it was just one of those things that, as D&D is, just didn't get explored, at least this time around. Who knows?
Quick add-on to that, with the Gerudo Gate and Dunamis.
Yes.
Were those made up afterwards because of Avum's desire for him, or were those kind of original things in the world too?
Those were made up. I decided that I wanted to give a lot of people specific special things to really mark them, and I know you love dual wielding, I know you love daggers, I also know you love critical roles, so those were items that was made to fit Avum, but also be a little nod to Mike the player.
That was fun. Part of me sometimes kind of wish we had gone Four Sword instead of Dunamis, but I love them so much for the character that I was kind of like, I don't want to not have them, I want both. But it would have been interesting to see how different things would have been if flavor-wise we'd gone after the Force Sword at that point. But just kind of cool.
So, actually, Cohen has a very interesting question that I can answer very quickly about the Majora's Mask, since it's somewhat relevant. That was basically just going to be more or less the leading to the boss for the Kokiri Emerald, because that was his thing. So it was more or less going to be a leading thing, and he could have been something future down the road, because I didn't want there to be like every Zelda villain's in this game. He was just going to be like something that would have caused chaos, would have gotten bored with it, and then moved on, and would have just been establishing there are greater things in this world. So that's more or less his purpose. So
that's a storyline we didn't follow up either, right?
Oh, no.
I didn't think so. We kind of let that go.
Yeah, that was that was in relevance to this was like back in like session 13.
Oh yeah, it was so early.
We found the gem on the ghost ship.
Yes, the ghost ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So let's go ahead and let's see. Let's go and do this question of what fight did you enjoy the most aside from the Vati fight?
We rolling again?
Yeah, if you guys want to.
Yeah. Oh, I keep rolling off the 16.
I use one of my rerolls. 6.
8.
6, 8.
I finally get a natural 20, guys.
Hey, you know what? We're still,
I don't want to keep answering all of these first.
We're still recording. We're still
so far.
live.
19.
2019.
I got 16.
Oh, you got 16. So, so and then Abram, you said you got 6.
Yeah, I'll be last.
All right. Actually, Mike, why don't we go in reverse order?
Ah.
Mike,
I was
why don't
thinking,
you
I don't
go
know if
first?
I decided on it.
Since Steve doesn't want to be first again, which is totally fair.
I will say, out of a lot of my DMs, I think you've done a really great job with boss fights. It's some of my favorite fights we've had in the game, but the 2 fights that I think really stand out to me, and I'll probably change this answer multiple times, but narratively, the snake fight the first time with Aaron going down was just insanity. With just how chaotic and how epic the momentum switched on that one. But as far as like tactics and how much I felt the group kind of came together, and for me was one of the funnest ones I enjoyed as Avum, I think was the 3-headed dragon. I'm trying to remember what it's called.
Gleeok.
The Gleeok. That was just a fun fight, just because like, I mean, the way we prepped into it negated all the energy damage, and it was a fun, I don't know, kind of a fight for that one for everybody. So
yeah, that one was a lot of. I will say the Gleeok is definitely up there. That was a lot on my part as a DM for how much damage I was having to subtract. For like that 3-hour fight.
Especially because she had just gotten the ring too, so like that was such a new thing for us to experience, and we're like, and then Warding Bond was on, so yeah, that was wild. And
it was just getting all that calculation. All right, we're there. So, but yeah, no, I honestly I agree with those. Without Mark,
like cycling through all the fights in my head and just like trying to remember all the details because there's so many. I know that the the Demise one was definitely an impactful one for me because of like character stuff. I think what was it? I think when we were getting the Master Sword, the trials as we were going to the Master Sword was really fun to me because like there was a lot of teamwork that had to happen to help Scissory get to the end because she was struggling with her rolls on that day. And it was just so funny just watching her like be oblivious to so many things, and like I think Dee, you were gone that day or something.
Yeah, she was
Yes.
gone,
but-
yeah.
But like Mike and me are just like pulling you through this thing. You're the
I'm
hero.
feeling everything. I don't get the puzzles. I'm missing the swings. Like,
I thought that was
the
like
worst
narratively,
hero.
they're like,
The
oh, she
funniest
faints
fight.
us first. Great.
Yeah.
Good job.
That was, I won't lie, going into the session ahead of time, planning it, I also made it a group effort because I didn't want it to just be Scissory sitting there the whole time, but also I made it like, what's the narrative reason? She has to show she can work as a team. And there we go. And it worked out. And I was so happy because...
It was beautiful.
But yeah, no, that was wild. But the Demise one was interesting to plan for because there's definitely a lot of things I had to take into account. I was like, I could just make him a Baylor. He's a Demon King anyway, so it was pretty much the Baylor stat just modified. So, but no, that one was fun to plan for, and I'm glad it worked out like it did. So, with that, because actually, this was I'll reveal this. So when if Attic had failed again, because the DC was about as high as it possibly could be, like 30 or close to it. If he had failed, he would have to have fought the party, and it would have been a completely different fight at that point. So, and I had multiple different scenarios of what would have happened if a deck had been killed. So, I imagine I could dig through my notes and find it, but yeah, that was interesting to think about. So.
When Mark was the most scary boss fight that we avoided the whole time.
Yep.
When only a chair could hit him. I don't want to fight Mark.
Getting that tease
I wouldn't want to
like,
fight that
against
either.
him for like a couple rounds. We're like, I don't know if we can take him down. Like,
Yeah.
I was thinking about it too. I was like, could we? Ugh.
Well, yeah, because there are a few times Mark and I would talk between sessions of like what would happen. So I knew what was coming your way more or less, and I was like,
yeah, I'm like thinking through like how would I strategize to be the most evil thing I could be, and I'm just like, this could get nasty. 26 AC, like, oh, it could get real ugly.
Oh yeah. So with that, I believe next was Rach.
Let's see. I did have a few I really liked. I think the Shadow Scissory one was impactful. I found it funny though that I was like, the whole time I was like, Scissory's gonna be like so angry and it's gonna be so many epic moments, but like that was the fight I realized that Scissory is never good with one-liners, and she never has anything like really cool to say when she's fighting. She just like, it's like, you that's all she can come up with.
about the twins, they're so opposite with the
You know what
one-liners.
that reminded me of? It reminded me of like Jane Foster as Mighty Thor, who was throughout all of like
I know, she's
Love and
kinda
Thunder was
lame.
trying to figure out like a one-liner she could
Yeah,
say.
that's what I felt like.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's actually a really good comparison. Yeah, I can see
That is
it.
a great comparison. Yeah, so it was impactful, but that was also like a funny thing about it. But I also really I liked the fight where Attic got possessed in the Gerudo town, not because that we won, because we wouldn't have won maybe because he was so strong, but I loved that there was a moment that the twins both were like, no, this is not happening. And I think like you cast like a spell, and then I at the same time, like I was like, okay, I'm giving him the bonus to my saves and like faith that he's gonna like pass. And then he rolled like super good and he finally like hit the threshold to get unpossessed. And like we had always done that, like the twins always did that for him. But that was like the big moment where they did it like without even needing to plan it or think anymore, and it was just really cool. I loved that like teamwork moment in that fight. That was really fun.
Oh yeah, no, that was a good one. That was also a fun one as a DM, just to sit back and almost watch the chaos unfold.
It's like
So,
I did have a spell later on that never even came out. That was, I forget what it's called, like protection against fiends or whatever it is. It's like the bigger version. Whereas as soon as you touch them, they're instantly unpossessed. But I'm like, I know in a big fight, let's not just be like, okay, we're done. Like, does it split them? Does it come out? Like, what's going to happen? So, like, it was always a backup option later on in case, that happened to a deck, but luckily never needed it.
Effectively, I'll tell you what would have happened if that did come out. it would have required a save on Attic's part, naturally, because he's trying to resist, because the creature's trying to resist coming out. And then effectively what would have happened is it would have more or less entered into like a Phantom Ganon state fight. So Attic would have been under probably at least one level of exhaustion due to an intense separation like that.
Wow.
But more or less, it probably would have gone something along those that way. And again, the exhaustion is just a spitball example, but there would have been some form of a penalty of some kind.
Would you have then had him be reabsorbed because of the curse until he went to the temple? Or if we had defeated him early, would it be...
So he would have need to have been... that would have definitely impacted the fight in the temple, because he would have been weaker, but effectively he still would need to go into the temple to be fully cleansed of the spirit, more or less. But
makes sense.
That would have impacted the fight later on. I would have definitely made a note of that to remember, okay, this happened, so DCs or even stat blocks are going to be slightly tweaked.
That's cool.
So, next up would be Silent.
Well, it was originally 2, but now 3. Now that you mentioned the whole initial Nash and Snake fight.
Yeah.
Like the first time, like, wow. That fight in particular, though, wasn't so much the fight itself. It was what happened after. When Aaron died. Just straight up died.
Yeah.
I thought, like, the emotion from everyone was, like, wonderful. Great. It made me so sad. So sad. It's really good, really good. And then, mechanically speaking, I like the actually, it was mentioned earlier in chat, when we were saving King Sidon. Just as a mechanical fight, that was like so much fun, trying to find its weakness, and the fact that there was armor covering it, how to get that. And finally, just like character-wise, when I came back for the cameo fight with Nash and Onyx. Oh man, that was
a fun
so
fight.
good. So yeah, so fun, so cathartic, and the fact that Aaron's story at the time now had an ending, which I was happy with, that I was able to finish out his story, and I was 100% happy with just letting you guys take him, do whatever you need to do, have him be where you need him to be, because he found the end of his story.
And honestly, I am so happy that you were able to come back for that fight, honestly, because while Demi would have definitely had a bit of an element for relating to Nash, with Nash being involved with her parents, it wouldn't have felt the same. So I'm definitely glad you were able to come back to finish out that story and do all that stuff, because it made it that much sweeter. And just absolutely rocking him in like the first 2 rounds must have been the definition of catharsis. So so I guess then rounding things out, we have Demi.
Yeah. I really liked both the things with Nash. I thought it was really fun, especially having Aaron go down and having joined the party recently, but like having that stronger connection to him at the time and being like, I'm gonna help my friend. My friend's dead. Like, it just was one of those like, oh shoot. And then I really liked the Gleeok fight too. When we get into the fights, I'm just trying to plan and strategize, and I could not tell you what went on specifically mechanically for most of them. It's just a blur because I'm not focusing on like, oh, and then he does this. Because I'm just honed in on what's my next move, what can I do, what am I, and going back and forth. So for me, I'm just mind wiped and I don't take notes during that time. So those like fights are always like the least, like, they're not the least important, but it, like, in my mind, I just remember them the least. Right. And again, it's just because I'm so focused in on like what we're doing from time to time and stressed and stuff. So, but I think narratively, I really like those ones. I do remember the Gleeok fight being one of the first times I animated something.
Yes,
So
that's right.
that was fun because I remember riding on the snow horse after, and I thought that was hilarious. So I think I really liked that too, and then seeing everybody's reactions to like the snow, like the twins' reactions to all these new environments is really fun. Leading into that, and then just fighting a Gleeok. I do not have the courage to fight those in the actual Zelda games.
Same.
I avoid fights at all costs. I hate fighting. It's the worst, scariest part, except like the little low-level monsters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every time growing up, especially Zelda games, I just hand off the controller to my brother and he would beat it for me. I have no shame in admitting that. I'm bad at it. I don't have strategies. So, but I do enjoy how you incorporated like them thematically into all that. I really also enjoyed watching and listening into the Twin Rova fight too, and how they all got there. That was really, really cool. And then there was another fight that you guys did too later on in the Twilight Realm, but I really liked those as well. So
yeah, I think for me, definitely the Nash fight in particular was the first one, just because it was so chaotic, and there was a moment it genuinely felt like there was almost going to be a TPK, and then the moment Scissory got out there, the momentum just shifted, and it led to a very great emotional moment, especially with Dealey's Nat 20 to bring back Aaron. So for me, that's probably a highlight for me, for it being very intense, but also leading to a very emotional moment that was just awesome. So with that, we have a super chat here that we're going to go ahead and a question here that is for me, and then we'll go ahead and answer some player-related questions of this is from Insight Check specifically, was there a particular element of the Zelda franchise that you found challenging to adapt into D&D? The items.
I bet.
The monsters and even classes to a degree, and even ancestries, those were somewhat like, I could tweak them and still have them reflect the game elements to a degree, but the items specifically, because D&D has a very specific way it goes about balancing that. There's a moment of I have to think about, is this going to be too much? Is this going to be underpowered? Is it going to be overpowered? Which is why sometimes I would take an existing magic item and just rename it, like the Boots of Speed were the Pegasus boots. The Lantern of Revealing was the Ghost Lantern from Twilight Princess. So if I could do that, I would, but sometimes I had to just completely make them up, like the Dominion Rod, and I had to limit it. So that was probably the most difficult part in trying to figure out how to make it balance and not be overpowered, because Zelda is all about magic items. 5e is less about magic items, which is why something in like 3.5 or even Pathfinder, it would probably actually work a lot better, because that's more about magic items. So for me, that was definitely the hardest part. And trying to make that work. So with that, we'll go ahead and go to player-specific questions. So maybe if you guys wanted to roll to see who would get asked the first question, we'll go from there.
Can I just put out to the group real quick, is there anybody that struggled
Actually, yeah.
as a player jumping into a Zelda game? Because I know for me, I don't know much about it, but I never struggled feeling like I fit into the vibe of the game. So just kind of wondering, like, did anyone have any struggles getting their mindset going from like fantasy 5e into like a Zelda actual play?
I struggled when we did the design work for the characters, because I was like, it has such deep lore to all the different characters. So like, I think still to this day, designing the Tweely twins and then Mark's character, like the Sheikah stuff, I think I spent like 4 hours, 5 hours total just for each person, just looking through Pinterest for different, like, making sure that was all like lined up and correct with like the lore and the design work. I've never done that with my art most of the time, so that was fun. But I think it helped that you and I both played twins that didn't know what the heck was going on half the time. So I could ask as many questions as I wanted, be like, what the heck is this? And like, it was in character, and I wasn't constantly have to being like, does my character know this? Because I don't. And I think that would have been a lot harder if we wouldn't have played people that weren't familiar with the
I think we did
setting.
that on purpose, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely were like, we don't know enough. We'll just beat them. Just not know.
Is that a light round thing?
Yeah.
I think for me, it wasn't really necessarily hard for me, considering the mechanics of Arakakra and the mechanics of Rito, as you wrote it, were pretty much copy paste. So, mechanically speaking, I didn't have a hard time. And then I'm a more casual Zelda fan compared to like these two nerds. But yeah, I've always enjoyed Zelda as a series. So I looked into the lore, stuff like that, and I just had a good time with it. So didn't really feel too difficult to separate the two and kind of jump into one other as I went to another character.
Yeah, I don't think it was that hard. I mean, I've either played or watched playthroughs of every Zelda game. I'm not as hardcore into the lore, but I know a good amount, and so I picked up on most of the Easter eggs and the different things that you put in there. I mean, 90% of the time. So for me, I think I was just more like chomping. I mean, I made a character NPC for Lit right when the game started. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, Lit, by the way, here you go. I have ideas. Like, and I wasn't even, like, that wasn't me trying to even be in the campaign. That was just me being so excited about the world and being like, oh my gosh, here's ideas along this PC if you ever need something. Like, if you need any NPC ideas or any art, here you go. Like, I was just so gung-ho about it. Well, so I feel like for me, it wasn't a challenge.
Well, that's actually a very interesting point that I don't know if a lot of people realize. Demi originally started out as a potential NPC. So she would have been, her role would have basically been an Impa type role where she would have been a librarian and kind of guardian at the castle. So she would have been a character the party could have interacted with, and then basically the role that more or less fell upon Lana. So that's actually a very interesting tidbit. So yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So with that, we can go ahead and start rolling just for individual questions, and we'll have some fun there.
17.
17?
I also rolled a 17. It's your dex.
What's your
Not
real life
good.
dex?
9.
You go first.
7.
Mark?
I got a 16.
16. Okay.
Rolling so close to each other.
So we got two 17s, a 16, a 9, and a 7, correct? Tell you what, Silent, why don't you go ahead and go first, and we'll go ahead and do an errand.
We're both answering at the same exact time.
You're both
Right, like we're just gonna talk over each other.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna make the audio absolutely unusable. Great.
Yes, 100%.
Making it a nightmare to edit later. Awesome, I love it. So let's see, Aaron. Was all of Rito Village shocked when they found out you were married? Or did they figure it out beforehand? Also, what was the name of the hatchlings?
I would say that yes, they were probably all shocked because Aaron is good at hiding things. He's not like Scissory, who likes to blurt things out sometimes. Then the wink, no wink didn't help either.
I was about to say wink, no wink, but I didn't unmute my button in time.
But yeah, I would say like Aaron was very, very careful about his whole marriage. And of course, talking to Sinley throughout the whole ordeal, because I'm sure she would have wanted to tell everyone. But then that makes his job harder, and then all that nonsense. So, in terms of names for hatchlings, I haven't thought too much of it, but all I know is that he named his most hyperactive one after Scissory.
That is...
No! Oh my gosh, Scissory is there every week if there's some actually named after her.
So good.
Definitely the more hyperactive one. The inquisitive one.
Yes.
Would have been, yeah.
You do know that one is going to be on adventures from 7 years old on.
Oh, 100%. She probably works with Scissory like when she grew up.
The Agents of Dopers.
No, Dopers.
Probably, honestly, she probably thought Dopers was so cool when everyone was.
Yes.
Every bedtime story. You tell me this story, girl. You're the one who keeps asking it. Tell me it.
Tell me about Scissory.
That is
That's so cute.
Yeah.
So then hopping on over to Avum. Was there ever a time Avum was afraid of his powers, aside from the horrible nightmare of the town?
Yeah, I saw this one come through, and this one gets me every time, because this is one of the crux of a lot of character elements that I put myself into a character a lot. So it's a very personable thing, and this I think is the most that I've seen it on display as part of like his major arc. Try not to get too emotional. But like I've always suffered with fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of just like it's that self-sabotage of I'd rather not do anything, because if I go out and fail, then can I even recover from it? And so I think there's a lot of Avum built into how I found him in the beginning. That fear of, well, this is my box. I'm good at staying here for the rest of my life. I know I want to do more. I dream about more, but I'm comfortable here. And I think later I remember associating that back to my old job. When I first started streaming, I was working at a minimum wage job overnight, and I was like too scared to move, too scared to like leave out of that. So when I moved to Wisconsin, that was me stepping out and going into the lay realm sort of thing. So that similarity there was really fun. So going with the powers, that's why it was so important for Avum to be scared of Scissory dying or being hurt. And so the fear of not having enough power to stop that was what it was in the beginning. And surprisingly to me is what happened later in the game was when he got more powerful. Now all of a sudden there's this like, yeah, we can reverse time, we'll go change the calamity, we're gonna do all this stuff. And then at every single turn it was like, no, you're gonna like make things worse. This is bad. I'm not happy with you doing this. You're the protector of time, not the controller of time. And so it was really interesting to use that of Avum kind of stepping back, and now even having to step up at a like almost like I remember there's one time he like argued with a deck almost, and like they had very varied like visions on how to use time. And so it was really tough for Avum to switch that, and then for me to like use that as it's okay to just let life kind of unfold as it does and just do your best with it. That was kind of a really fun way of learning that from Avum. So yeah, this is a really personable question for me, I think.
Yeah, no, honestly, I could definitely see how that definitely, and you played that really well, how that came about, because I knew when you started that you wanted to be like, they're going to do Oracle and you're specifically going to do time. It's like, okay, well, I know I'm doing branch, so I had to figure out answer for myself. How am I going to treat time? Yeah. And because Zelda has a million different answers as to how that functions. So, but no, it was very fun to explore, even if it got really heady at times to figure out.
It was also fun too to play him so shelled and like held off for everyone, because I think he annoyed and probably was like a lot of people's least favorite character in the beginning. And then I've had actually some people later on be like, oh, he really turned on me, and I like him a lot better now. So it was really fun to see that twist and turn of like going from hated to not hated.
Love that.
And honestly, that to me, that's a sign of a strong character to me. So with growth like that. So next up would be Attic. So with what is your favorite invention and what is your next project?
Favorite invention. That's a tough one. There's a lot of fun things that were made throughout this campaign.
There's so many things.
I mean, I just think that I like to be able to make an item for everybody. I think that's one of the things that was kind of he wanted to protect his friends, so making something that could help them all with various. I think he made armor for everybody, if I remember right. I think Silent got armor right before he left, if I remember right, but I don't remember for sure.
It was close to it, yeah.
But yeah, he made a bunch of items. There was that locket that he made that had like all the different things that people were connected to within it. So I liked that. I definitely like giving myself and Scisri the natural 20 negating armor, because that basically made it so Lit would never get another nat 20 for the rest of the campaign.
Yeah, well,
I made my rewinds totally like I could use them for other stuff. It was really fun.
Well, yeah, we were talking about it at like GaryCon, because we realized like I hadn't gotten a nat 20 on you guys in like a year.
So no. I was like, that will help both of us. It will help Avum. So it's like 3 people all of a sudden just are fixed on that. And then we have Silvery Barbs, I think, between 3 characters as well. So it's just like, good luck, Lit, on getting another nat 20 on any of us for the rest of the campaign.
We want our DM having fun. That's weird.
Yeah, no. And honestly, I hadn't even made that connection until you told me, Gary, like a few months ago. I was like, wait, no, you did steal nat 20s from me. What?
I did. I was surprised you let me get away with it, honestly.
Well, you rolled high enough to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. I made the DC really high because I knew what I was getting into, but you made it. And in my mind, artificers are about inventing and making things. And I didn't want to take that away from you for someone who wanted to play an artificer. So, yeah.
I mean, I think with artificers too, they're not that powerful of a class unless you can really invent stuff. So, like, I think it was really cool being able to have that like temperature gauge thing that could change my resistance to either be hot or cold depending on what I'm getting hit by. So, like, if my temperature goes up, I'm resistant all of a sudden to fire damage. And if it goes down, it's resistant to cold damage, and those different gems would activate my armor. So
that's cool.
I liked being able to be creative in how I could help people, give them items they needed, and like the small flavor things like a camera for Scisri, the headphones for Attic, the sunglasses for the twins, like those types of things were fun to do.
And I love those because they became such like a big part of the character too. Like it just anytime something weird happened, I love to just be like, and like I wouldn't have been able to do that if you didn't make that for me. So it's fun.
Yep.
I loved narrating. Like I walk in with my sunglasses on. It's just like so stupid, but it's so fun.
And then next up, I think the things that would probably be first on his list for what would be next
I have to look at this
would have been, he would have probably worked on getting the teleportation stuff, kind of like Breath of the Wild, going so he could travel around quickly that way, because you don't get that as an artificer, unfortunately, normally. So I think that would have been one of his first projects, and yeah, maybe help out. I mean, what's it? Avum, you had your shop thing, so you could probably help with that a little bit. And if we ever could get one of those the forges, like the Goron Forge down the sub basement.
Yeah,
somewhere way beneath the keep.
Okay, you all need to understand this. I'm going to tell this story because this broke my brain. I think it was after you made the armor, or sometime after. I get a question gets posed into our group chat from Mark, asking, "Hey Lit, how hard would it be to tunnel to the core of the Earth?" Or something to that effect. And I'm sitting there, it's like midnight, and I'm sitting there staring at this question. I think I messaged like, "Let me think on this, I'm too tired," and I just like fell back asleep.
Oh yeah.
I can imagine you in the dark just staring at the ceiling
I was flabbergasted. I'm like, I don't know how to answer this. Like, but
yeah,
to me, that encapsulates a lot of Mark and I back and forth of the campaign of just causing me, and this is what a deck did actually, was cause me to think about my world building in a way different way than I normally do. So it was very fun to have him in the campaign because of that. So, but still getting questions like that at like random times of the day or at night was always wild, and was something I always kind of looked forward to because I never knew what you're going to ask next.
Behind the scenes, as his wife, I'd watch him like churning an idea over, and I'm like, "Oh, let's have something coming soon."
You can see the gears turning.
I should warn him. I never did. I'm sorry, I didn't warn you.
So, for that, we have. Are you good with that answer, Mark? Just making sure.
Oh yeah,
Perfect.
I'm good.
And with that, we're going to head on over to Scissory with. Scissory had some strong emotions. Were you prepared for that in sessions where it came up intensely?
Mike made a joke earlier in the session because we were talking about that. He's like, "Oh, are you talking about Karis? Are you talking about Eleonora?" And he like lists all my characters. So first of all, I am a person that has very strong emotions, so that's probably going to come out in almost all my characters. Although for Scissory, it did surprise me because I didn't make her to be that emotional. I figured like she'd be frustrated with things, like frustrated with her life, frustrated that her parents don't like seem to support what she wants and different things like that. But I never really thought it was too much of a real, like an explosive type of anger. And an explosive type of hurt too. Like, and it would just like erupt at random times. It would hit her, and I'd be sitting there going, "This came out of nowhere!" Like, girl, it went from like 0 to 100. And I think it was when I did a writing prompt for a writers group. I went back and I did a writing prompt of like years before when Scissory breaks up with Ivis super abruptly, just to kind of like get some groundwork for their relationship and kind of work that out. And as I was writing it, I was like, I finally understood her, and I was like, oh, this girl's just emotionally repressed, and she just stuffs it down and doesn't think about it and doesn't like acknowledge and just ignores it, and then it always will come out in the most inopportune time because she doesn't actually deal with it. To the point where I felt like she had such bad emotional intelligence. Half the time she couldn't even name what she was feeling or what was going on with her or even know how to explain it. For herself, much less to other people. So that was kind of an interesting thing to discover. That was her problem about, I don't know, a third of the way through the campaign, and then watch her start to develop emotional intelligence and how to maybe take care of those emotions a little more preemptively, so it wasn't like,
I think that was a bit of a family trait that I think surprised both of our characters.
Yeah.
Even had some outbursts that I was like,
He did.
okay.
They both
Not
did.
that nice. I went to jail.
That's when you're like, oh yeah, they're
Oh
twins.
yeah, when Aaron
Yeah.
died.
Yeah, no,
That's
that was
right.
like, I will say, the session where Avum had a lot of outbursts leading up to that, especially when Injustice happened. I remember the first time, I think the most prominent time where that happened was when Reyna actually was detained by Captain Jimmy, who was just doing her job.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
That was the first one.
that was like the
That and the
first one.
farm boy dying was
The farm boy was a
one.
big one.
Yes, the farm boy dying,
Mhm.
and then that, and then seeing Avum just going to jail was wild. But
That was
then,
wild.
because I was controlling Sprite, I knew that she could get him a potion. And I was like, because she would do that. Like, I did occasionally roll to see what Sprite did, and she did steal one of his like invisibility potions at the time. So I was like, that. Okay, Dice, you told me this is the story, so this is where we're going.
It was nice because Scissory's the one that reined him in.
Yeah.
And so that was the beginning of, I think, them learning how to communicate. Because
Yeah.
she was going to go like ballistic on him and send him home.
Uh-huh.
And you even got talked back out of that. And then they kind of learned how to talk after that. Because
I think Attic talked her down. That Attic did a good job with that a lot. Is he was the one that would like listen to her just go off about stuff, and he just was so nice about it, and he would usually diffuse. It was so nice, you like can't be mad at when someone's that nice, and so it diffused the situation so much faster than I ever thought
Just
it would.
Blink, 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 blink. Don't feel
And
like
then he'd always please
Stop
stop
my
yelling, and just go in the corner and like the twins be like, I don't like this.
Yeah, like when she was so mad at Lana, and then he's just like, do you want to listen to some music? That makes me feel better. It's like, yeah, I do.
That was actually a question about anger that I was wondering about Mark. So Adek was always super like hated when the twins fought in the beginning, even though it was like bickering to them. Was that
yeah, he was so
because of
uncomfortable.
Demise and his fear of getting angry, or like where did that stem from?
I just always thought of him as like pretty sheltered. So when he experienced people fighting around him, like it made him really uncomfortable. He didn't like it because, I mean, like his growing up would be like barely ever seeing his dad and mom together, and they probably wouldn't fight a bunch when they're together. So he didn't get exposed to a bunch of fighting, and
I
because of
expected
that,
you to struggle with anger because of Demise, and to have it be the opposite was really cool to see.
I really wanted him to be polar opposite to Demise. Like I wanted his character to be like the far end difference. So like if he got taken over, like the drastic loss of a character that would happen in that moment. So I made him like as far to one side as I could. And yeah, fighting, he just didn't like it because I think he probably wasn't exposed to a lot of it, and he wanted everyone to be friends and just everyone gets along and have a good time. So
I love
absolutely. But one thing I also find very poignant is that the twins were able to start to figure out how to communicate to each other, and then Scissory's whole deal, and even the twins' whole deal in the Twilight Realm kicked off like just a few sessions later.
Yeah,
so
it did. It all happened super fast.
Yeah, so
which was fun.
We both regressed.
Yeah,
because you were like, "Dang it, parents!" And he's like, "They're just trying their hardest," and like they're both like,
totally.
Oh yeah, no, that was very interesting. So, but with that, then for Demi, we have this one I found very interesting. So I want to see, because it has to relate to Terra. So
yeah. I have a lot of thoughts about her.
Yeah, this question was very interesting. So since she came in so late, did Terra ever get lonely as a dragon, where they are super uncommon in the world? This is a two-parter. Or with Demi's memories, did she feel close enough to the average person that there wasn't too much of a separation?
Yeah, so I feel like there was probably a huge learning curve. Again, Demi had not an extensive knowledge, but she knew Draconic. She had studied it a little bit because she really liked animals and creatures and found all that, and I didn't really touch too much on it. I think I mentioned it a couple times that she would like talk to animals on her missions. But she always thought dragons were really cool, right? Like they're legends and all this. And so I feel like Terra, because she carried all of Demi's memories up to the point when she was created, she had more of the like humanoid feelings, right? So she had all of that in her, and I think becoming a dragon was kind of like her awakening, and so it's this complex thing of she was probably very sympathetic, and I kind of wanted to do a reverse of what you see in D&D a lot, right? Dragons becoming humans. It's reverse, but at the same time not, because she was just a pile of snow. So, I had a lot of fun thinking about that, and I had this in mind for I think a month now. Is kind of this long-term plan that I had even before the Vati fight. I wanted to make the Simulacrum. It's a spell that I really wanted to do, and we didn't get the Force Sword, but Demi always had this theme of the Echo can fight, the animated thing can fight, let's have another thing, so she's just like a one-woman army sort of thing. And so I feel like Terra relates pretty well to people. I feel though, as her life progresses, especially with the whole plane shift thing at the end, she would start to understand that she needed to separate herself. And I feel like she probably journeyed to talk to other dragons. And this isn't something we've talked about lit, but like in my mind, she wanted to get to know the other dragons. So over the course of, you know, the end of the campaign to the plane shift thing, I mean, that's a couple hundred years at least.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like she spent a good amount of time with some of the other dragons, learning and knowing what it means, and then also raising Nebby to also like be sympathetic to people, but also understand what his heritage is. And so I think she's one of those characters that's very much a foot in both worlds. Let's see. Yeah, I feel like eventually she did separate herself. She kind of had to step away from Demi because of all those memories, right? Like, she can't be like, oh, well, I was you, but that's your husband, it's not my husband. But, like, I was engaged, but not, like, so there was that, for a little bit. But yeah, I think she's a really interesting character, and I'd love to play her in another capacity at some point.
That'd be cool.
But also, she's a dragon, so it's not that feasible. So I don't know. There's a lot of complex stuff. I'd love to do writing stuff about her as well. So I think it'd be fascinating. And she's also a one of a kind. I mean, there's not another crystal dragon. That's literally just from what Demi had in mind, right?
Oh yeah.
So
it still worked in the realms of D&D, or at least I should say Hyrule, or as I called this whole world the Dinroth, because Hyrule is technically a continent. Even technically in the world of Zelda, it gets complicated. But anyway, it worked because there were the divine crystals that I established very early on, so the theme of there being crystals still fit with the dragon. But that was a very fun way to, in a way, connect this to other things, especially with the plane shift. And yes, I know where they wound up. It was a random roll. So, yeah.
I think it's really fun. And the crystal thing, the crystal nod was, one, because the crystal dragons were the kindest to humans, and two, the Sailor Moon soul crystals, and just imagining, like, the Millennium Crystal or whatever. I was obsessed with Sailor Moon when I was a kid. And so just having that was just a big thing. So I tried to make her magical and very Sailor Moon-y with, like, you know, the two twin tails that she has going on. So if you look at her character design, there's some elements of that I was going for. Subtly, too. So there's just a lot of details in Terra that I gotta put. And it's a continuation of Demi for however long. So
awesome. Honestly, that makes total sense, and I love the design of Terra. She looks great. She's a very cool design. So
we need a tuxedo mask for Terra.
We actually do.
Right? And I'm 2 for 2 for turning into a dragon, polymorphing into a dragon in campaigns now. So
there you go.
Let's go.
Witchlight, and then
yes.
Now this. So
yeah, that was
it's fun.
I haven't. Witchlight was so long.
Wow.
Yeah,
that was long ago.
It was. Yeah, no, that's the Terra reveal was awesome. So I'm glad we got that little bit. Before we go to break, there was a question I saw in chat that I kind of want to answer because it's really, really quick on my end of how did I handle the conversion rate from with 5e with money and rupees. The answer is I didn't. I just treated it as though I was just giving out gold, and that was what rupees were. That was it. Very simple, very straightforward. No conversions, just saying you get 5 rupees, you get 5 rupees. Short, if you can make it simple, go for simplicity, especially when dealing with homebrew. So, all right. Yes, Shark, which, like, you mean Lit Death Simulator. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, my friend.
I felt that.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll go ahead and take a break there. We'll be back here in about 10 minutes for some more questions. Again, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. This is a lot of fun. Stay tuned. And welcome. Desktop audio is back, everybody. Hey, you know what? Wouldn't be Winds of Calamity unless we have a goof up like that. So, 2.5 years, you think I'd figure out how to run a stream, but you would be wrong.
We're professionals. Professionals here.
We are not
Nothing but
professionals.
professional here.
You know what? I'm okay with it. That's just on brand at this point. So with that, hopping on over to some questions. And as a reminder, you're going to want to stick around because we're teasing what's coming next. So with that, we'll be hopping on in with this question of, for the players, what are you most happy with your character? And then for me, which NPC were you were you the happiest with?
Ooh.
So everyone, if you want to roll, I should probably get a d20 out here since I'm involved in this question.
12.
3.
12.
5.
5.
7.
Thanks, dude. Science bros. Let's go.
11.
7?
Oh, you both got 7?
6. But we've all been like within
we were
two
really
of
close,
each other
yeah.
this
So-
entire time.
I got
You
11. What did everyone else get?
12.
12.
Oh, 3.
3, 5, 6, 7.
6.
Oh wow, that's really easy.
Really
so it'll
close.
be
So close.
yeah. Okay, so we'll start with Demi.
So I guess the thing that I'm happiest with, getting up in my spells, I feel like she kind of kept her personality. I mean, she really didn't have like a change throughout, like a big change from start to finish. I'm just really happy I got to do and pick all the spells I did. That was really fun. I miss being high-level spellcasters, so I'm happy that I just took her all the way through as a multi-class as well, and I've not been a multi-class at level 20 before, so it's always been mono classes to 20. So this was really fun. So I think overall, just her build is really what I'm really happy with. So, yeah, and taking the chef feat, okay? No one takes it. It is
I thought that was
highly
amazing.
underrated,
Oh, yeah.
by the way.
Oh,
She sure just reminded me about that too. The fact that she cooks every time they wake up in the morning is just hilariously
so
funny.
helpful.
in
So helpful.
in one of my home games, Burke, the Goblin Artificer, who there's a story about on the channel, by the way. She's the one that caused the apocalypse in my home campaign. So she's actually the one that caused the breaking of the Rod of 7 Parts that showed up in the epilogue.
So it's her fault.
It's literally her fault. But regardless, she had the chef feat, and it was just really funny. The alchemist would always be the one cooking and then handing things out. It was just this goblin girl handing things out to the party. But
That's really fun.
oh, it was so much fun. So,
Yeah, it's underestimated. I feel like I took some suboptimal stuff, but I made it work with her, and I never felt so far behind necessarily either when I joined. So yeah, I think just her build I'm super proud of, and I'm really happy with.
Oh yeah, Demi was great. I was pleasantly surprised always because I was hoping someone would do Echo Knight, so I was really happy you did that because it's just a dope fighter class.
Yeah, it is.
So, with that, which NPC were you the happiest with? I genuinely had to sit on this question when I saw it, and 3 NPCs come to mind. Reyna, just because her story she was meant to be like a character that the party would meet at the beginning and occasionally show up, and her story diverted so much from what I was anticipating. And it was really fun getting to explore a character who wound up getting like a robotic arm from Chikatech as a way to almost embrace her disability and explore that as a fantasy character. It was a lot of fun. Lydia was another one, just because there's something about her I always liked playing, where she could be a little sassy, but also there was a heart to her. That was a lot of fun. So, but the one that shockingly resonated with me the most was Marul. if you actually watch back on the episode when she's talking to a deck, and I'm gonna try not to get emotional here, she is talking about how she's proud of him and who he is and all that stuff. For a split second, I almost had real tears on stream, and I managed to pull it back, and I leaned into it, but I legitimately almost started crying on stream in that moment of dialogue, because there's just something in that moment of dialogue that felt very personal and really resonated with me. And this is where I realized that Marul is a character that build-wise she was fun, but just playing as a character she was a lot of fun, because she was very strong, and I could lean into that as a joke, but also there was a tender heart there that would always come through. So for me, Marul, I think, wound up being the character I got surprised by and also wound up getting pleased by. So with
I like Marul a lot.
oh yeah,
I thought she was fun. I mean, I liked all of them, like the three, but I did like Marul. I thought she was fun. I always liked when she would grab Attic's face and be like, Attic, return to me.
Her mom thing too.
Super cute. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
So is that I forget who was next, who rolled the highest next. I believe that was Silent.
No, I rolled a 3.
No, you rolled a 3.
I think
5.
Avum, actually.
6.
7.
We had a 7-6-5,
That's
right?
So it would be Attic, actually.
Yeah, Attic rolled
Was 7.
Yeah,
He's-
perfect.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So what was I most happy about with Attic? I mean, I definitely wanted him to be like nice boy. Like that was a big thing,
Accomplished.
and I think that worked on keeping it through the whole campaign. And I thought it was really dopers how he would he was terrible early on at like the wisdom saves, and it was so like awful. And then I think the first time there was that possession chance, nat 20. And I think that happened so many times throughout the campaign, besides the one time in Gerudo Town.
Yep.
Like, I rolled nat 20s or like really high for every single one of those saves, and just that determination to stay on like the path of what was good. I think that was what I tried to do with him. And yeah, just caring about his friends and caring in his own special, quiet way for everybody. So that's what I liked about with having him.
Yeah. So honestly, that was something that was wild about a deck, was just seeing how often he would resist. It was so perfect. So with that, we'll have Avum.
What was the question again? Because I remember the
you're
NPC
good.
one.
I
have an answer, but I can't remember the context of it.
What are you most happy with your character?
Yes, okay. I don't know why I had nice stuck in my head. I was like, it's weird. The thing I was most happy with is how relationships ended up being, I think, one of the most important things to Avum in the second half of the game. And it was not something I was expecting, because I kind of wanted him to be a little bit more of a cold, standoffish character, which is funny because that directly related to how I played Dap and Mishaps. But I started off thinking the relationship to Sisri is the telling point of where the character is going to go. And surprisingly, I think it was the relationship to everybody else. The Science Brothers occurred. The camaraderie with, Aaron, and right before, he left off, and like the passing over of like literally changing his weapon to a gun and ranged because of Aaron. Like that happened. And then coming into it and not having Demi be a full-time character in the beginning, but now all of a sudden exploring like a relationship in game with the characters was really cool. So I think that was my favorite part of what developed with Avum, especially because everyone joked us because we have a relationship in a written narrative campaign between characters too, and we're like, this is not going to happen.
There's a common
and then
thread,
totally
apparently.
naturally happened.
I thought that was hilarious when that happened.
We're not
I was
doing
like,
it. I'm like, but it makes so much sense.
it does, which is hilarious, which is why it's funny.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
Oh yeah, that was really funny, and I also liked seeing how because.
Oh, and Sprite. Yeah.
Oh, and all
Right.
yeah,
I like
seeing
Sprite a lot.
Avum's and Sprite's relationship
Arena,
form
yeah.
over the campaign was wild. Which I will say, I listened back to some of the earlier episodes. Her voice changed dramatically. Like it went from like something like this to suddenly talking like this. I don't know what changed, but
I think Kevin.
She
is
became a
what-
smoker.
Kevin bleed over.
Yeah.
I think there was maybe a little bit. Well, Kevin's more like this, but there was definitely. I listened back. I was like, "What happened?"
I remember talking about that at the beginning. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know.
Like I had no idea, and it was just one of those things, and that just became her voice, and it felt much more right.
That felt way much more Sprite than anything.
And seeing their relationship form and going from where she would still be like a little jerk, but at the same time there would just be this emotional core to her. That was a lot of fun. So that, and then also even like how Avum and Reyna formed a friendship over the course of the campaign too was very
That was shocking. Yeah, because I won't lie, he did not like Reyna in the beginning. Like, despised her to an extent, and then just seeing that form and have that change, and even how much more I liked Reyna into that was really fun. So it was hilarious. Yeah, it was just funny. I don't know. She just irked him in the beginning.
She's trying to be smarter than me. I'm smart.
I think that's
I'm the smart one.
Just a little bit
That
of
feels like
competitive- Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think Rain and him would have ended up together if Demi had not joined the game.
So
It would have been really interesting. So
with that, that makes total sense. With that, Scissory or Rage.
So it's what are you most proud of for this?
Yeah, so it's basically like, what are you most
Twins
happy with your
yeah.
character?
Oh, okay. That's so broad. I'm not really sure how to answer. Like I'm happy I could make a character that failed a lot and didn't mind. Does that make sense?
No.
Because I there's times where I'll play perfectionist, or I'll accidentally kind of play more of a like it has to be done right, and they get really upset when they'll like fail a lot. And for her, like it was just really nice to play someone that she's missing swings in battle, she's not solving puzzles, she's almost drowning in a lake. She's like, she just like doesn't succeed. She never wins the mini games. Like she really kind of is a loser in a lot of ways. But like she doesn't care. She's just having a good time. And I love that she kept that aspect of herself, like the whole campaign, no matter what happened to her. And it was something that was really fun for me to have her just like do anything and fail and be like, that was great. And like, I wish I could do that more as a person. Like, to just not mind if I fall flat on my face 4,000 times. So I liked that part about her and like playing that out and that she kept it.
I'll never get over the fact that one, she was the first character to go down.
Yep.
in our
Yeah.
campaign.
2 death saves, I think. Yeah.
She was like, I was sitting here just like session 1, and like we have a character on death saves, and I'm just like,
right.
I'm
Yep.
like, they're opening this campaign. It's going on YouTube. I'm gonna be killing a character episode 1. What am I doing
This
with
is
my life?
Cultural, right?
Cue
It's all like
the
an Avon
Zelda
and
theme,
down
but
the
it's in a
spiral.
bad kazoo.
Yeah,
Jesus.
pretty much. But yeah, no, that was something I always loved about Scissory, because again, she was the hero, but it made the fact that she needs a party.
Yeah, she needed
more
them so
important.
fabulous.
So it worked out. I know we talked about that so much, how it was amazing.
Yeah.
So, Aaron.
If I was sitting here thinking about the question too, and I still haven't come with an answer. Basically, I guess the one thing I could really think of is just that now he can actually have relationships and be okay with it. Much like Avon, kind of, in the sense that like, yes, he was married for like the whole time they were traveling together, but he's kept that a secret because of the whole idea of he doesn't trust anyone. he didn't even trust his own village that he was married, just due to the fact of what he did and as a career and all that. But traveling with the rest of the party, knowing that he can actually trust these people, he was able to actually open up to the fact that I don't have to keep everything a secret.
Absolutely. Honestly, yeah, that was a very cool thing to see Aaron go through, learning how to trust, and then also seeing his trust get broken, and then learning how to trust again because of everything that happened with Shadowclaw. That was very cool to see what unfold with Aaron.
I liked it too because a lot of him like going out on a limb to trust us, it wasn't even him choosing. We kind of like bullied him into it. Like wore him down.
Into dopers, bullied him into dying of feather or something at one point.
It seems like that was the only way to get that done.
Yeah.
Like it worked very well. And then but then eventually though, he did start just choosing to tell us and like actually volunteering information. And then I think that's when the party was like, oh wait, it's working.
He likes us.
Like,
He really
he likes us.
I really liked that, and that I know when Silent came to me about designing Sinley, I was like, okay, but you know that she's the type to just bully Aaron, but like lovingly, right? Like she pushes him, and so that's probably why he like liked the party too, because he's like,
yeah.
No.
It made me
Basically
so
his second wife, which is weird to think about when I put it in that context, but
you remind me of someone.
The party is my second wife.
I'm married to my work. Leave me.
I mean, he was at a time, so
He was.
yeah.
I love it. I love it so much.
Sorry, there was also one thing I wanted to mention.
No, absolutely, man.
That little mentor moment with Avon when Avon was like, I think it was like a Fort Hiteno when we first got there.
Oh yeah.
We had like a little like Maverick and Rooster moment. So, yeah, I that's also one thing I'm very happy with my character. He was able to have that mentorship also.
That's cool.
with Avon.
Yeah, and then you handing over the arrow meant so much to him. And then that's kind of why I built in that whole intelligence agency thing in the end of his, was he wanted to work with you on continuing that and stopping what happened to your group from happening again.
Oh yeah.
Because he felt like they were so isolated. Well, let's make sure there's overwatch from other countries to help, work together on it.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Yeah. No, that was, and I remember when I was slowly introducing the thing with Nash, that I knew there was going to go one of two ways. If Silent revealed Aaron wasn't down for it, then it would have been revealed that it would have been a test if he was going to go through with it. But it made it clear, no, Silent's very okay with going down this direction. It's like, okay, Nash is a villain, and and I loved all the doors that opened up, especially for developing Aaron's character. So that was really fun to play out as a DM of just playing a betrayed mentor. So
it's good. It's a good story.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and do some personal go back to doing some personal questions. We'll go ahead and roll d20s to see who's going first.
Can't tell me what to do anymore. You're not my DM.
Oh, you know what? That's a fair point.
8.
I don't know where that came from. Sorry.
No, you're
6.
fine, man. I love
Feeling
it.
rebellious.
8, 6.
Literally a
You're
7 again.
consistent.
Let's go.
13.
13.
Wild.
18.
18. Okay. We're getting things shaken up a little bit here. Silent, you're going to go ahead and go first. So for you, your question is, did Aaron have any siblings?
Well, actually, a very simple answer to that. No, he didn't. Only child.
Only child. Short and
Only
easy.
child.
Makes a lot of sense,
yeah.
actually.
I'll add on top of that. Did he want siblings, or was he okay with being an only child?
Was he jealous of Scissory and Avon? He wanted a twin. Just
Are
kidding.
you jealous?
Because when I looked over the backstory again just a little bit ago, it was one of those things where like he was always so career focused that I guess he never really thought that maybe a sibling would be good for him socially. So he was just like, I'm just gonna go through my life, do all the things I need to do, not worry about it. So yeah.
Cue party.
And then party came, and then yeah.
Absolutely. So with that, Demi, for you, we have, what was your favorite song to learn?
I liked the Song of Storms, and the Sun song. I think because of the situations that I just played them, and then things happened. Because flashing the daylights out of everybody in the library was hilarious. I didn't mean that. I thought it was great. And then the Song of Storms and getting Aaron drenched in the rain was funny, and then oh shoot, just I don't know. It made for some good ones. The Song of Storms though, I really like that out of the game too. It's just a solid song. I love a lot of the renditions that people do of it. It's probably the most, that and Zelda's Lullaby are probably the two that I listen to outside. So yeah, I'd say Song of Storms number one. So
yeah,
I never really used the Minuet of the Forest. I never used any of the other songs, and it was mostly just because of the time I needed to prepare them and then to keep concentration, but I mean, she'll use them all equally. We never did find Sharp.
Nope.
So
we never did.
But you know what? I'd like to think after the game they also did that. We never mentioned it because I just remembered it. But I feel like retcon a little bit, they went and did that too.
That honestly, again, just like it was for getting the Hero Time freed, it would have been like a nothing journey for you guys at that point.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Perfect. That honestly makes a lot of sense. So next up, Rach, you said you got a 5. All right. So next up would be Attic.
No, actually, sorry. I think I got an 8 or 9.
Oh, okay.
I think. I don't remember. I think one time I got a 5, and then this time I got an 8. But
we'll just go with 8 just for the sake of it, I guess. So let's see. This one's actually very interesting. Did she ever forgive and forge a new relationship with her grandmother and parents?
Yeah, I think even in the campaign, she'd forgiven them. It was clear they were trying, even if they weren't there yet. And the conversation with her grandma was enough. Scissory gets mad really easy, but she also forgives really easy too. If you admit you're wrong, that's the thing. So with Lana, if Lana never admits that she, did wrong, then she will never forgive Lana. But even if Lana was I messed up and I should have never done that, she probably would have forgiven her. So it just depends on how you go about it or whatever. But yeah, so for her grandma, she forgave her when they talked in the talking at the hot spring. And with her parents, yeah, I think by the end of that whole arc, it was clear they were trying at least. And I think that was what made the difference for her. So I think even in the epilogue, I had kind of mentioned that, it probably took a fair amount of time for it to feel comfortable, because a lot of times when you have that big of a difference of lifestyles, it can take a lot of time to understand each other, even where you're coming from. So I'd imagine there'd even be other fights and other disagreements and different awkward moments and different things like that. But over the years, I would like to picture they were all consistent with trying, and by even 10 years later, 20 years later, they're at least to a point of feeling comfortable and it's not tense. So yeah,
no, absolutely, that honestly makes a lot of sense. I think playing out those scenes was definitely a lot of fun as a DM, and very interesting, of trying to be playing someone who's very headstrong and not seeing this, but then trying to just do their best. And then Codette and all this stuff. Those were very fun scenes too.
Those were
play
fun.
out.
I loved it when you had both the parents because, like, I don't remember. I think it was it the mom that was a little more reserved, and the dad kept being like, "Wah!" like making comments, and they would like be like pulling each other back, but then one would say something that would make like Scissor even more mad. And it just kept like going around like that.
Yeah, that was definitely it, and which also made it all the family dynamics that happened in the campaign in general very interesting.
It was fun.
So, so hopping on down to Mark, do you think Attic would add other cool things to his armor or Scrappy?
I mean, one thing that I had intentions to do, I think I talked about this briefly with you in the campaign, but we just got kind of
sidetracked,
bogged down by the actual quest. I think what he'd work on is like some hardcore antivirus so that Malice won't take over Sheikah Tech stuff anymore. And he would definitely want to do that with his armor because he recognizes the threat that could pose. So,
yes, okay, yeah.
So some pretty good antivirus stuff for the Guardians and just anything. Especially too, because one of the items on his list was a new Divine Beast.
Yes.
That was an item on the list. He wanted to put together one of those to be something to protect the land.
Megazord of broken Divine Beasts or something would be amazing.
Yep. So that was one of his projects he wanted to do at some point, but the antivirus has to come first because he's not risking that.
Yeah, we don't need a Breath of the Wild happening.
No, we don't.
Nope.
I remember being. I think I even told you, it was like, this is like a post-campaign thing, right? And he's like, yep. And you were like, and you were basically more or less like, yes. It's like, And I was like, great, because I don't even want to have to figure out how to stat that thing. Like, I don't even know where to begin. Yep. But yeah, I imagine, and just to keep chat no longer in suspense, Mark, will you be posting this list somewhere?
I can post the list in the tavern. So if you're in the tavern, I'll post the list in the tavern after the Q&A.
We've been wanting to see the list as players.
I know, like as players, we want to see the list.
So
it's been a lot.
I'll probably post a question, a screenshot of it to the community tab, just so everyone can see it on YouTube as well. So, but yeah, it's long. But yes, so rounding things out with Avum. This one I'm just curious about because I thought it was a very fun question of, does his dislike for the guards perpetuate all his lifetime?
Please.
Funny enough, no. I'm sure he still evaluates each guard on his own merits, but the guards that protected the keep and went back and forth from Zora's domain kind of won back his faith in guards. And I think at the end, you had made comments about how like the militia and guards had like held down the city in like some way that like there was a lot of death, but they had like also saved a lot of people too. It was like a small one-liner was enough for him to be like, all right, there are a few good trained ones out there. But I think he would have like the most intense training and hiring of security for his shop ever to exist. So,
and I'm sure Aaron gave him daily reports of the guards he's been training.
I was gonna say Terra probably guards the shop.
Oh.
Nobody's gonna mess with a dragon.
That's a fair point. It could be
she's not there though.
That's true. She's not there all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I did find it funny how what initially started out as me doing a slight nod and joke to Zelda guards. It is for those of you who don't know, it is a joke in the Zelda games that guards are absolutely useless. Like, Twilight Princess even directly mentions this, where some of the guards are like, yeah, we'll guard you, and stuff like that. And then they flee, and then one of the tavern keepers yells at them for being cowards. So, like, I just love that what started as a joke became almost like a character dividing thing that grew through the course of the campaign. So
all the other characters were so on him about that too, and I was like, this is the funnest thing ever to just say guards suck.
kind of related to the guards because this is actually a terrifying thing in the game. The Cuckoos. Did you have a plan if we actually messed with the Cuckoos?
Oh, please tell me yes.
I wanted to.
So I did have a loose stat block that I had on hand. It would have been, you guys, yes, would have to have fought a swarm of Cuckoos.
Yeah.
And it would have been a basically just like the game, you more or less would have to have left the area and retreated because it would have been almost endless waves of swarms of Cuckoos coming after
Where are
you
these
guys.
birds coming from? It's a light realm thing. This is terrifying.
Imagine if we had TPK'd to that.
Well, it would have been fitting with Zelda, and then like you guys, I would have brought you guys back, obviously, because I'm not having you die to a bunch of.
We would have just passed out.
Yeah.
You know what's funny though? I think we even made it. I think Aaron and Attic even told the twins never to mess with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were that quick with it. It was like, no, you do not touch that bird.
Demi liking animals is probably just was enough to stop it back. Because
Yep.
he had done pranks with the horse, and I think like the Cuckoo was on the next step of like pranks to do. But
Oh my gosh, the horse reading thing. I love that. I think about that sometimes whenever I see a horse around my neighborhood.
It's the reading horse. But I'll never forget. I don't even know what spawned it. Makara suddenly having this surfer bro voice.
I think you did that.
Yeah, I just did it on a whim. Like that was not. I forgot. Like, oh right, she can do speak with animals. Normally I prep it. That was something that just happened. I was like, okay, this is his voice now.
It was beautiful.
But no, that.
Why did the reading horse thing happen? Was Attic trying to understand pranks? Is that what it was?
I think he was trying to figure out pranks.
I think that's why that happened, because he was like, what if we like convince everyone that horse is reading?
The funniest thing is, I think the only ones that actually laughed at that was Avum and Attic.
because wasn't it right after Avum doing the prank and got you two really mad at him?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it was like, okay,
So
so
this
what's
was
the
like
prank
episode like
that's not
28
harmful?
or something. 28 or
I
29.
think
Because
it
we
might
had
be
done-
28. Yeah.
We had done the rumor mill, and me and Dee were crushing it, and we were doing so good. She rolled nat 20s, it was perfect, and then Ava ruined
Lady
everything by making like Scissory's tattoo like roar, and everyone fled in terror, and like Scissory was dragging him around in a headlock all night because she was so
I think
mad
he
at him.
passed out because you choked him out.
But
The rumor mill
is,
thing
One of my
was
favorite
so
twin moments in
good.
the game.
I'll never forget Demi being like, his name's Aaron too, and then like,
Oh, actually, his name is Aaron too. That's a really funny story.
just like rolling a natural 20 on this deception, and just like that's how we ended the session, if I remember right. And it was
I
like
think so, yeah.
this most insane thing, which was like just a thing I pulled from Breath of the Wild as a gag. And you guys, I didn't know how to bring it into the rest of the campaign, but it was just a great gag that I loved.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
So
I loved it.
with that, there's actually a very interesting question in relation to that, actually, of let's see, for me, regarding you drew things from across the games, but what setting did you take the most inspiration from? Did you have others in mind that you didn't get to pull off? So in creation of the world, I pulled from all the Zelda games. Back when the world map and the world in general was actually still in its rough draft phase, I was actually for a split second had a region of the world called the Forbidden Lands, and the Forbidden Lands was going to feature things like Gamelon and things from like the CDI games. And it was going to be an in-joke they're called the Forbidden Lands.
Good.
I ultimately didn't go through with that because I didn't want it to be too much of a joke, but I even pulled things from the comics. There's a region called Kalashia, which, if you're familiar with the Viz comics, early on they said Link is actually not from Hyrule, he's from Kalashia in those comics. So in terms of world building and naming regions, I pulled from every single game. The most inspiration was definitely Breath of the Wild, because keep in mind, Tears of the Kingdom was not out yet by the time this game was really being released. Then also, And then also a lot of the handhelds, mainly the Four Swords games, and then like the Oracle games were like the biggest inspiration. So that would be that. And for those wondering, Mark is holding up a mug that says Doper's Agency, basically, which
So good.
I am. Mark and Rach.
He and Rach have it.
So for those listening in podcast form, that's what's happening right now. That's why we're all losing our minds.
We've both been like, ding, 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 the whole time seeing who will notice.
Those are incredible.
Check the merch store. It is not there, but it should be.
What?
It's not on the merch store, but it should be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, who knows? We might. We'll see. Let's see. We'll go ahead and do a for everyone question, and then we'll go to personal questions again. So, I'll say this is actually a very I like this question. We might have kind of answered it, but still going more specifically. How have your characters changed over the course of this adventure?
I rolled a 5.
I think I can already
18.
answer that.
Probably.
I rolled 7.
7,
13.
13,
19.
19. What'd you get, Rachel?
Left me.
18.
I
19?
rolled away from you, Mike. I'm sorry.
I'm at a science bird just to get close.
Mark or Rach, which one do you want to go first? So you both rolled 19.
Gracious.
Ah!
So
I also feel like I kind of answered this.
Okay. Well, we'll go to we'll jump to a different question then. What location did you like the most?
Okay. Did everyone else feel like they answered that question really fast?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't
most
really
part,
have
yeah.
too much of an answer. I was just gonna kind of repeat what I
Okay,
already
I just
said.
wanted to make sure if someone was like, "Oh,
Totally.
I didn't get to yet" or anything. So location I liked the most.
Yeah, we'll do what location you like the most.
Okay, I have 2. The first one is oh no, sorry, I have 3. Sorry. So the first one is the Lost Woods because failing that save and thinking and like just being like totally hallucinating was like one of the funniest scenes ever. Like I just remember being in tears like for 30 minutes straight just because it was just so ridiculous.
Being
And
carried by a
it was-
deck.
yeah, oh my gosh, it was so good. Thinking he was a
giant
crow
crow.
or something. Yeah, it was
that's
just
right.
so good.
You thought
Yeah.
he was a crow.
Like, oh my gosh, this girl's talking to me. They're like, okay, she's lost it for real now. Like, what is wrong with her? So I loved that. I loved in the Twilight Realm at the inn when we had the drinking contest and we were all just like, that was just really fun to me. And like I don't know. And I think, the reason why I like it is because the drinking contest itself was really fun. We were back in the Twilight Realm, so like we were all like weird. I think we were just coming off of like the weird exes thing, and then Ibis walks in the door when she's just so drunk, and so like all about in that whole like scene and like the placement of where it was just really fun to me. And then the third was the coffee shops. Plural were so fun for me. Like I loved that so
Those
much.
were so good.
And like all the different drinks and like different effects and having Scissory constantly like go there and buy it and be addicted to it was like so fun. And we could delve into our stupid card, not stupid, but like nerdy coffee thing together. And it was just the best thing. I loved it so much.
There was definitely
I'm sad I missed that.
Yeah, there's definitely a point where the coffee shops, it almost stopped being the vendor
Like,
and Scissory talking, and it was almost Lit and Rage.
Oh, yeah.
The lines blurred.
Like, what are the notes that
The rest
really
of us were like,
peek
we're just gonna
through
give them
in
a
this specific
moment.
blend?
They need this.
I'm really upset I missed the coffee shop.
Yeah, so there was a few
Good.
different ones, but there was one in particular in where was it? It was in
Holodrum.
Holodrum, and this like little guy was making these like these caffeinated drinks where he was like putting so many shots of espresso in to the point where you were hasted for like hours if you drink it or something. So like Scissor like the whole time and like buying it for other people. It was so good. Like I just loved it so much.
It was a Deku scrub, so a little bush person making who was basically like a druid, infusing it with magic.
Yeah.
And
he had to sign a waiver.
He had to sign a waiver for one of them.
It was one of the few times I was surprised Avum joined in. Because he
Yeah.
doesn't do a whole bunch of that stuff, so...
Everyone would have loved that. He loves coffee,
Oh. But yeah, that.
especially in the
Maybe
The-
that's their
the
post game
amount of time.
activity together. Is they'll go get
Oh,
fancy
yeah,
coffees.
100%. He said he missed out on the coffee shop, so go on a
Lane
coffee shop
shift
tour.
is not
Okay, I'll
meant
take him
for
in a-
coffee.
Yeah. No, I have to show Aaron this one. Fine.
Fine.
So Mark, very interesting question. One that I think we're all kind of curious about is, would a deck ever get a non-spell dog? If so, what would he name it?
I'm not sure if he'd be a dog person.
No
I don't know.
Highland Shepherd?
Or oh wait, I'm sorry. We're still doing the general question of.
Oh yeah, I was kind of wondering, but I was
No,
like,
I'm sorry. I messed up. That'll be your personal question. What was your favorite location?
So yeah, I just think because I think when we first started talking about the campaign, I was doing Twilight Princess, and I think I streamed a couple other Zelda games prior to that. And then as we were getting into it, that's I think about the time that I started my 100% Breath of the Wild playthrough, and going through that too. And then Tears of the Kingdom came out, and then I was going through that during the campaign as well. And I think what was just fun for me was to have a lot of the locations fresh in my mind that we ran into in the game, and just kind of thinking picturing that scene of okay, this is where we are, and thinking back to the recent playthrough and imagining that scene of that place. And so I mean, there are a lot of things on the map that's I want to go to there, but we just didn't have time to get to that place. And it's just every location was I want to go there and see what that is. And I don't know if I could say there was a favorite location, because just basically everything on the map, I'm gonna go there at some point. I want to go there at some point. I want to go there at some point.
Yeah.
So
I definitely gathered that you were definitely one of the ones of I want to do everything, which honestly as a DM was it's great to see. You love to see it. So, next up, I believe would have been Demi, I think, or 1919. Who
I got a 5.
you got a 5? So it would have been Aaron actually. So favorite location.
I feel because there's so much I kind of missed out when I had to leave the campaign. There's not really. I guess I'd have to say maybe 2 places. I know Rito Village was really cool, and especially with what happened there. My gosh, I had one in mind. Now I'm blanking on it.
Go through the alphabet and see if it triggers your memory. That's what I do a lot. A, B,
You were
C.
there
Oh, that's
for
right.
Twilight Realm as well. So
Yeah, that's right. The keep.
Yeah.
Their keep in Zora's domain. That was one of those. I just kind of found it cool just to see how people kind of explain what the room design was or why they chose a specific room. And I just love the idea that Attic and Avum are constantly making modifications to everything about it. It's more metal than brick at this point.
It can probably move eventually. I mean,
It probably has feet that it walks on. I don't know.
Then Aaron gets to brood up in the tower.
Pretty much.
he's woken up one day just with the whole thing moving, and he's like,
Attic's moving castle. There we go.
"Yep."
Attic's moving. That'd be great.
Yeah. So with that, Avum.
Mine's kind of similar to Mark's. I don't think there was too many of favorite locations. It was kind of the whole experience and traveling through them. But the 2 that do kind of stick out, and I kind of forgot about the Lost Woods, a little bit there. But I think because Ocarina of Time is the one game that I have really played into, the Lost Woods was a big one. But then just Castletown, because we've been there in so many games, but like the whole Castletown and like the library and like all those different scenes, is where a lot of the change of Avum and the spark of that happened, because that's kind of where the first spark of Demi's relationship with him, kind of like that's where I was like, I can actually see this happening. And then the jail thing happened, so there's a spark of that, and then the Calamity. So like Castletown for him is the epicenter of everything. So I think that's kind of how that feels for me. Plus, he beats every game that he goes to there. So.
Yeah. No, honestly, that makes a lot of sense. D.
I really liked Holodrum. I love Cass. So I thought that was really cool that you did the Bard's College. I'm really sad I didn't get to explore more. But I thought it was really cool, like, the setup of it all. And, like, everything that happened in there was just really fun. Mm-hmm. As a viewer, I really liked the Twilight Realm. And so sad I missed that. But at the same time, it was really cool being on the other side of that, because, like Mike was saying, it was kind of the start of, like, a spark. And even though I wasn't in the campaign anymore, it gave me the opportunity to write what she did in Castletown. And so you have this juxtaposition. So I have this kind of, like, unique thing of, for a couple weeks, sending messages to Avum, and then him being drunk at one point, and then sending her a message. She's probably in the middle of, like, helping, like, a surgery, and he's just, like, drunk message. She's like, what the heck is going on? Like, excuse me? And so, I'd say the Twilight, Holodrum, and I thought the Gorons were really fun. I thought that was a really cool area. Avum showing off is really funny, but I also just liked being there, which is really funny because I really don't like the hot climates. Death Mountain has never been a favorite of mine, really, but at the same time, there was just something really fun about it that I feel like, because I came back in at that point, it was just a fun relaunch into that, and to have that. So
with building off of that, because there's a second part of it, what did I enjoy fleshing out the most? Honestly, fleshing out a lot of the regions and then making them my own was a lot of fun. But I was always feeling like I wanted to be beholden to what came in Zelda specifically, because I wanted to reflect that world first and foremost. Excuse me. And with the Twilight Realm, and even to a degree Low Rule, there's so little that we know about those realms that it gave me the freedom to play with concepts. Like, playing with how gravity was weird in specific areas in the Twilight Realm was really fun, to where you can manipulate stuff. Funnily enough, this is actually something very interesting. It was because one of the things that kind of got condensed to a degree with being unsure of Silent's schedule, Scissory being hit by the Gibdos, so the mummies, and basically being hit with a mummy rot. Originally, the idea was going to be that there was going to be if someone got hit with that, there was going to be a slight side quest in the Twilight Realm to go get the ingredients, and that would have led to Ava learning a potion. But because Silence, we were unsure about Silent's schedule, that got consolidated to being someone from the village, being able to pass off that knowledge to
that's cool,
to Avum. So I wanted a little element, because I knew it was going to be leaning Scissory heavy, so I wanted to still give Avum something in the Twilight Realm, since he's also a Twily. So that was actually something very interesting that I had planned, but as with every DM knows, sometimes you got to consolidate plans to make certain things happen. So, so with that, I think, and then Low Rule was fun just because that's where I actually fleshed out how the planes spin around each other almost like a galaxy, and that low rule and how low rule operates. So they float around each other, and that's how basically certain ley lines are able to connect and disconnect at different times. And the Calamity just exasperated that. So, there, we'll go ahead and go personal questions now. And yeah, so go ahead, roll d20s, and we'll go around the table, probably one more round of personal questions, and see where we are from there. And
17.
Don't worry, a nuke just went off in Silence
Are
Room.
you okay?
Oh gosh!
I had to turn on the lights. It was starting to get dark.
No worries. I just love on camera. We just got a giant.
Funny thing is, I missed it, and now I can go back to the stream and
Yeah. So,
amazing.
all right, D20
I rolled an
rolls.
17.
17.
I roll a 4, Mike.
4.
I rolled a 5.
What the heck? Science bros for life, man.
Four.
What is
5.
happening?
Rach, what'd you get?
2.
2. Silent, or he's talking. But yeah, no. So we'll go. Let's see. Just looking through general questions here.
It was your reverse order too, if you need
Yeah,
to.
that's probably what we're gonna wind up doing. Well, we'll see. But yeah. So
All right, sorry.
no worries.
Sorry.
What'd you get? What'd you get, Silent?
8.
8. So, well, we started with Rach last time, and she would be at the bottom. So let's go ahead and start with D, and then go Silent and go from there.
Yeah. I think it's just this one's for Mike and I on the.
Yeah. Actually, the question specifically, this one was very interesting, and actually, it's a very interesting question of. How did having a kid change the way that you played D&D and also Demi?
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting thing. Carrying over from Fates and starting that journey and then continuing it here.
Mm-hmm.
Now I gotta cry. I think it was a really cool experience. But really hard too. I feel there's a lot of FOMO and then frustration at first, but then it really became an anchor of just my week and being able to play with everybody and still be engaged. I feel for any of you who have kids, it's an incredibly lonely and singular experience when you have kids, but being able to still have the support and still have friends that you can come to and interact with every week was definitely a major thing for me, and something that it became even more dear to my heart. And every time I'd get frustrated, it wasn't at anything here, it was just with me, right? And trying to balance it out and still be present, but also, kind of trying to figure out this new position I'm in as a player, but as, my other responsibilities and stuff. So I feel incredibly thankful and happy that I was able to continue this, and that, Lit and everybody else worked with me and was so sweet and supportive of that, because this was really my rock that I was able to really focus on. That was my thing. It wasn't about, anybody else. It was just, me time, mom time that I could share with everyone. So, I'm incredibly protective of it, and I was so adamant, and I'm so happy I stuck with it. So, yeah, it kind of changes a lot. And again, just, I don't know, it's helped solidify more, trying to focus down and really just have something for yourself. So
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Love you.
Love you, G. And just want to let you know, chat is pouring out their love for you as well.
I know, I'm looking
So-
at
Onions are
it.
being cut around the world.
And I know that definitely brought me to tears, so it's been a pleasure having you in the game, and I'm glad that this could be a time of the week for you. So, while I sit over here and recover, we're gonna go have a good luck, Silent.
How do I follow that up? Ooh.
Yeah, you have to follow that.
Silent, tell us about when you had no, just kidding.
Yeah. So this is actually a very interesting question of which other character, NPC or player, did you feel Aaron connected with the most?
Two questions. One an NPC, one a player.
Oh, sure, yeah, you can. Well, it's player, NPC or player character, but honestly, you can do both if you want.
Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. The one with the bird. The big bird. I'm blanking on his name. I'm so sorry.
Ike.
Yeah. I'll. Wait. No.
He was the Kokiri priest.
No. Someone else. Related to Captain Jimmy.
Oh, Valgrim.
The guy. Valgrim. Yeah. Sorry, I completely blanked on his name. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
It was one of those things where, like, even though he kind of like was a little competitive with him in the fact that he can fly and he needs the creature to fly.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where he felt like he was one of the few people that still understood what he did, to the point where when Valgrim said he will do something to help, he can trust him on that instead of having people have people work up his trust in a way. And then the player, believe it or not, would be Avon. He connected to, because they travel together, is like Aaron kind of felt that Avon, though he sees himself as the smartest guy in the room, there were still some things he could learn. Especially when it came to spy work and stuff like that. So he kind of saw like a protege in Avon. Mm-hmm. So he could like at least like start teaching him how to connect, how to make like
wing.
Yeah. I see what
I did a pun. That was me. That was me.
That was a slight of a pun right there.
I don't do that
Who
very
are
much.
you?
I'm very
Who
proud
are
of
you?
myself.
That was woo.
But yeah, he felt like he could take on Avon as like a little protege, or like if it came down to it, he would. I'm sure he's brought it. He's brought the idea of Avon taking over the Shadow Claw in his later years, considering Rito don't live that long.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure he's brought it up, and it's like if Avon was down for it, it'd be one of those things.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
it's really fun that you talk about that mentorship, because I felt that too, but I also felt at times there was a reverse mentorship of like emotional communication. So, like the scissoring him, breaking him out of like his emotional side, and being able to open up. So it's fun that it goes both ways, but I definitely felt that mentorship there too. Yeah. I think Aaron was the first one to look past his arrogance to who he really was outside of scissoring. Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that's actually something that makes a lot of sense, and I could definitely see with the mentorship, and it's definitely Valgrim. I picked that up early on. I love that they're both introduced like in an archery contest, so that was a lot of fun there. I
don't know why I forgot about this character. I whatever I said before, those were my favorite NPCs. That couple. Oh, yeah, Valgrim, the story, what they went through.
I liked Valgrim a lot. Yeah,
I was really sad that we couldn't bring him back, but like happy at the same time. So, well, what about his griffin though? Did it survive?
It did. It was Loftwing.
Loftwing, right,
yeah, it basically had griffin stats, so you're not wrong.
So I was gonna say, I don't know what would happen to it, but I could
Yeah.
definitely see Demi taking
Oh yeah,
him in as like adopting it if there's nothing else.
definitely would have. He definitely would have been okay with that. And Valgrim was a very interesting character because at one point in time, I was gonna be joining like a 13th Age Zelda game, which is another game system, and Valgrim was potentially going to be a character there, and it got scrapped. So I took elements of his story and just made him an NPC, as a lot of DMs tend to do. And I changed up things. I gave him a wife, and the story he had of being a Sheikah, but then falling to the Yiga is something I gave to their son, which, fun fact, Erdogan was his name. This is the deepest of cuts, because Erdogan is a reference to the Zelda fan film Sage of Darkness.
Wow.
Erdogan is the main villain in that game before he becomes Ganon or something like that. Like, and this is from like the 2000s era, like 2007. So this is an old fan film. But yeah, so that's a fun little tidbit. That was the deepest cut I probably ever did.
That's a deep cut.
Oh,
the
yeah.
king of Easter eggs.
So if anyone caught that, I would have been amazed. But along those lines, for Scisri, this is actually, I think this is a really interesting question, considering all the environments we've visited. What kind of climate do you think Scisri enjoyed the most? Tropical, icy, volcanic, desert?
That's a really hard one because she liked all of it, no matter how like uncomfortable it was. Because it was just light realm anything. I feel like she kind of liked desert the best because she likes the sun a lot, despite it hurting her eyes, and she loved like the sand seals and like I don't know, and like the city. I think she just liked that a lot. I would say the second thing she would like the most though would be just like kind of those like grasslands that they would be traveling in a lot. Like she liked grass a lot. Like she was a big fan. Like just like normal greenery and stuff was just like, and so like woods and stuff she really liked too. So I'd say those were her top two.
Didn't we kind of hint at that in our like beginning RP where
yeah.
like he's like hidden under like a bar thing and you're just like laying out in the grass.
Yeah, I was just laying in the grass being like, look at this.
It burns, it gives you rashes, get back in here. Like that's so fun.
All right. So, Mark, would a deck ever get a non-spell dog? If so, what would he name it?
Now you can answer.
So we kind of talked about this in the tavern.
Yes.
He probably would not get a dog necessarily, but his divine beast wolf. He would build that.
It was a wolf.
And he would name it Champion. That's what he had named it.
So good.
Why is it so
fun.
fitting that a deck doesn't
That's
get
so
a
cute.
dog, he builds it.
Lobo.
Yeah, like I'm just picturing like the opening of the $6 Million Man. We can rebuild him. We have the technology.
We have the technology.
I can imagine Attic being like, I got a dog, guys, and then we're like, oh really? Where is he? And he goes, Champion, and you
Pounded over a mountain.
Yeah, he comes
What's
around
in your
around a
orders?
mountain.
Snickerdoodle,
He has like a
snickerdoodle,
little like
snickerdoodle.
visor, like RoboCop just going.
Oh, that is. Yeah. I am not surprised by the answer in the slightest. That is
Beautiful.
incredible. I love
Why
that
is
so
it-
much.
Why am I imagining Rex from Fallout New Vegas now?
Mm.
Oh, that's a good point. Yes.
Nice.
This is a fun one for Avum. Would he let Demi teach him to play an instrument other than the kazoo?
I asked this, by the way. This is a
Dude.
personal
This is-
question.
That's right, you did ask
This is Dee's question.
Look, The kazoo is the most upfront, easy to use, and masterful of all instruments. If you want to teach me another one, you can make a Slack room with me.
You're going to have to learn something else.
I think out of just pure, like, prankster in him and like, putting his foot in the ground, I don't think he would ever learn another instrument.
She tempts him. There's a recorder one year. There's a piano another year. She's like, well, the piano is like the smart person's instrument.
Okay, here's the thing though, is when their kids are teenagers, like they'll invite friends over, like, Dad, put away the kazoo, please. You're being so embarrassing.
I'm getting Family Guy, but with a kazoo, not a tuba.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah. That's right. Yes, that's really good.
The kids
That
fall
was
and he's
$60.
I don't care if you're 22. This is what's going to happen on your first date, either way.
The first date at 22.
For-
Yes.
I
Mhm.
could see that for the daughter.
But yeah, no, that I love that answer. So, we'll do one last all-round question of, this is just a curious one of, what's the thing you're going to miss the most about this campaign?
Oh, we should.
Yeah, we'll go and roll, and then we'll do one last
Roll.
question for me, and go from there.
19.
19. What, one?
One.
Okay.
It tracks.
Yep. 5.
13.
17.
17.
Oh, close.
You just needed the science, bro. 4 away.
Okay, so we'll start with Rach, go with Mark, and
Flash of genius,
just go
Mark.
around.
Flash of genius.
So,
Okay, yeah. Thought I didn't mute. So I will miss the most just like the pure wackiness that would happen all the time. I don't know if I've ever played in a campaign where there was the perfect balance of just ridiculousness and then like serious moments in roleplay, and it was still like fairly focused the whole time. Like usually if you're in a group, it's just pure chaos and you never get anything done, and it can kind of be frustrating, or it's really focused and it's really serious. So I've never played in a game where it was kind of both, and that was like my favorite thing. And just the fact that we could do like the most random crap and Lit would just roll with it and like let us do it, and then he would plan things for us where it would be even more ridiculous stuff, and that was just like such a highlight for me and my week. And I remember when I mentioned this, but in the past, I think I mentioned to someone, like, Tuesdays are like my most stressful days. Usually I do not like Tuesdays at all. I'm usually feeling pretty drained, but so many times at the end of a session, I would feel so like lifted up and like happy because something's like dumb happened. We all did something and it was just like really fun, and I laughed a lot and I really needed it that day. So I'll miss that a lot. Just the group being like that, it's a special, and you cater to that. So
yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. Mark.
I mean, for me, I'm gonna miss being in the Zelda world. I like being in the Zelda world. It's very fun. My first ever campaign I DM'd was heavily inspired by Zelda lore stuff because it's just always a setting and a story that I've liked. And back when you first were talking about even starting the campaign, I'm like, I need to do everything in my power to stoke this flame to see this campaign happen.
because I remember it was a late night stream for you, and you were doing Wind Waker, and you and Sips were a friend of ours. Were stoking the flames. I remember Sips specifically saying, Mark, let's bully Lit until he does the Zelda game for us.
I was like, 100%, let's do it. So,
and literally like the next day, I think I messaged you saying, hey, here's a working title.
Yep. So yeah, when we talked about that in like streams, I was like, I want to do everything I can to like put this thought in Lit's head and get him thinking about it because I want that to happen. And so I'm gonna miss that. And yeah, it'll definitely be something that I will remember and be thankful for, but I'll miss it.
Absolutely. Next up, I believe, was actually Mike.
quick shout out to Sips. I think
Yes, actually.
having been almost such an important part of the stream, I just want to put that out there.
Yes.
I love him, and I would have been really interesting how different his character would have influenced a lot of stuff here. So.
That is actually a very interesting point. At one point in time, a friend, again, the friend of ours, Sips, was going to be a part of the game, but due to scheduling, couldn't make it. So, but everything worked out. It would have been very interesting to explore that, but yeah.
I think it worked out that I would.
Yeah, it worked out that we were available.
Mm-hmm. The thing I think I'm going to miss, I mean, just everything, obviously, but the twin dynamic is, as I just, how quickly and easily we jumped into it, I think is bizarre and fun. But on, like, going past just, like, being able to, like, have that dynamic with Rachel RPing and stuff like that, because we've had other games, too, where they've had, like, you know, different style relationships or dynamics between the characters, so, but because of the relationship dynamic, which I've never done with another player in a game, I've never felt too close to NPC family. It's actually one of the few things that like I really struggle with ever caring about family to a character. And this is like some of the first time that I think I was able to care more about the family dynamics. I usually write my family out of my stories because I don't like when DMs play something that not how I picture it and do it that way. So this was really nice to see, based on our dynamic and back and forth, how you built that dynamic from that role play and that dynamic. So that was actually really cool. I think I'm going to miss the twin dynamic a lot, for sure. We're still trying to figure out our new campaign GIF for the game.
Yeah, we have a GIF between that we always send each other for our twin time, and now we can't do it anymore, so we have to find a new GIF. Can I say, too, yeah. I thought, I didn't realize this would happen until we started playing and it happened really early, but I will also really miss that because there was a point, I think, like early episodes where I just made up something that Avim did as a kid and I just wanted to see what Mike would do. And then he just like ran with it and it became like, oh, this is part of his history now. And then we just kept doing that with each other the whole time and like forming this childhood and like weird things that they did or habits or like in this phase of their life, they were off doing this thing.
I think was the funniest thing that you ever introduced into it. And I'm like, fine, he hated that. Like that was his worst prank.
He like will not let it go.
Yep, he will not.
Yeah. Coming back later when Ivis was brought in.
All the X's. Oh, I thought that was hilarious. Oh, and the fact that you brought one back. Actually, you brought two.
You brought all of them.
You brought all of them.
I sent him a giant list and I was like, have fun. You can pick and choose.
Or the edible fruit baskets, like
yes.
Which is actually just a throwaway line because she likes Fruit Basket. And that's the anime, and so like
the anime I like,
oh, it's just great.
Oh,
it's really fun.
Yeah, we built off it. It was fun.
Yeah, but yeah, for those who don't know, Rach just one night when they were going to Twilight Realm, just during our break, sent me like a list of like 5 or 6 named X's and general descriptions of them.
Yeah, like what the relationship was like and like how long it lasted.
And I had general stat blocks for them. Nyx was probably the most fun to play because I basically played him like Johnny Bravo.
I also want to add that my favorite thing that you did about Nyx is later you told me, like after we encountered him, you were like, there was a point he forgot that you broke up with him, so he thought you were still dating.
That's right. He had no idea.
That's so good.
And then like halfway through he realized she was like, oh yeah, okay. And then he just like went with it.
That's right.
It was so
I did
good.
tell you that because I rolled for his stats because that's what we did, and he had awful intelligence. And like so
beautiful himbo. Or like he misinterpreted what she was saying,
yeah.
so it's like he
Do I get him another basket? I don't know.
Yeah,
he's just sitting there eating it. I think he got the message, but I don't think he got the message.
He's still eating the first one.
Yeah, he eventually the dots connected, but it took a while.
That's so good.
It took however many years, but it connected.
Pretty much.
I remember like us going in there, and I'm like, why does he not seem mad at me? I thought he'd be mad at me, and he was. So anyway, this is so funny.
So, Aaron, what are you gonna miss?
Real quick, as an aside, though, with your guys' like sibling dynamic, I'm actually playing half of a twin set also in another campaign I'm in. So I 100% based our dynamic off of kind of what you guys are doing. With
That's so fun.
That's so exciting!
Yeah, I even it's you remember Pale?
Yeah. Pale's been telling me all about it actually.
That's so fun.
That's fun.
That's perfect. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I'm gonna miss? A lot. I'm gonna miss a lot. I will say there's gonna be like just kind of one thing, because I grew up an only child, and then but kind of, I don't know why, but like the way that you guys kind of got your characters to kind of bully Aaron to doing stuff just kind of gave me sibling energy, and I just felt kind of really happy for like a brief moment whenever the guys did that, and I was just like, I wish I had siblings. You guys definitely
so
you guys definitely helped me out with that one, so it's
That's cool.
No, that's honestly, that makes a lot of sense. That's awesome. I love that. And D.
I think just in general, having my Tuesdays, I mean, I kind of answered it with the question I cried on. It's just, that like stress relief and that like little count of like, okay, it's almost Tuesday, like, but I will miss Demi. I really liked her. I thought she was really fun. Just being able to draw and imagine, again, just I love Zelda as games in general. It's just been really, really fun. So, yeah, it was really fun. And just like I miss all my other characters, you end a campaign and you miss them for a bit. There's that period where you're, I think, kind of in mourning for them, and especially having characters for a long time and taking them to 20, and having that that like grasp of power. Like for me, I have been fortunate enough to run a lot of games to being 20. I think Demi's like my 5th or 6th character that I've played at level 20, and it's it's a lot. And like I said, I've been fortunate in that. However, I feel like I really would like I always miss those later levels, because I feel like there's so many cool spells and so many cool things that you can do, and it's chaotic, and I think it'd be really interesting to come back and play a game rather than a 1 to 10. You play 15 to 20, and it is brakes are off. You're just going down this hill screaming, and death is on the line, and that's okay. But you have all these super cool abilities, and I think it'd be so fun to play in a campaign that way, because I never get enough time with those high level spells. They're just so cool. And yeah, so I'll miss Demi in that, and all the sass and the back and forth and all the shenanigans. Every time after a fight, I was like always looking forward to like, okay, what's gonna come out of everybody's mouth this time for what we're doing, because this is just like, it's so out of pocket, so off the wall. It was really fun. So
yeah,
it was a good dynamic.
It was a very good dynamic. Honestly, my answer is very simple. I'm going to miss running for this party. It was I was not sure going into what kind of game it was going to be, and right out of the gate, you all told me exactly what the campaign was going to be, and it was an absolute blast. Right away, you went immediately to one of my plot hooks and jumped forward to what I thought was going to be in the second session. You decided that this was going to be the first session, which again informed me this is how this game is going to be. Get used to it, which is great. So ultimately, I am going to miss this group and this this party and this dynamic. So for that, to lead into, speaking of wrapping up and dynamics, for me, have you thought about making a sequel to the Winds of Calamity universe? I believe you said you were doing a follow-up campaign, but not in the Winds universe, correct? So, to answer that, if the idea of doing a Winds follow-up, specifically in this universe, has crossed my mind, it will not be for a while if it does happen, just because I want to take a break from playing a game set in the Zelda universe. And if I do, it'll be a shorter campaign, like just a few sessions long, and probably a different system to reflect both the nature of Zelda a little bit better, as well as even reflect the shorter nature of the campaign. But I just have rough ideas. Ironically, Mark helped out with that potential with the Agents of Dopers. So, no joke, when he announced that last week, I knew exactly that's what's going to happen. But again, it won't be for a while, because the follow-up, we have a teaser. So stay tuned, everybody. Here's what's coming next for Adventure Rolls.
There are many factions across Faerun. One is the Harpers, a group of spies serving the greater good across the land. This life brings about many enemies. Thayan wizards, cultists of malevolent gods, and the Zentarum. A faction of mercenaries seeking their iron will be the only ones Faerun relies upon. Despite this knowledge, not even we can answer who is killing our agents in the Dale Lands. All we can do is pray Ayun blesses us with those who can help. Lady of Knowledge, guide us.
And welcome back, everybody. So, that is going to be what's coming next. Revenant's Wake, set in the world of the Forgotten Realms. So, yes, it is going to be set. The epilogue was all about setting up us heading over to the Forgotten Realms. Just as a little bit of a note for a few things. Firstly, this is going to be set in my continuity of the realms, so things are going to be slightly different than how they are in the official setting. Also, this is going to be set in between two of my campaigns, but you won't have to worry about those home games because they'll be largely separate. So, but as far as when that's coming, that is TBD, because we are taking a little bit of a break. I have enough to be able to set up a teaser, but we want a little bit of a break to be able to think out our characters, for me to write out the plot lines. When it does come through, it'll most likely be pre-recorded, and we'll probably chop it up, kind of what Mike is doing with Fates Apart, where it'll be edited, not down, but basically chopped up to specific parts to be a little bit more digestible. So that way, if you get behind, you won't feel like you're too far behind. So, but again, once all the details are officially settled, we'll let you all know, specifically when a release date comes, but keep an eye out for it. I'll also be posting the full trailer on Thursday, so you can watch it to your heart's content there. Thank you all so much for joining us. But before we go, players who are joining for the next game, give a tease for your character if you want with one word.
Yes, tease.
So hard.
Go first.
Also, this is a tease for me too, because I am not up for
Silent won't be joining us, but we had a pleasure having him here. But whoever has one, good to go.
Yeah. Okay, I have one. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sheepy.
Oh, good. I'm ready to go. I'm so excited for this game. So whatever you.
Ooh.
Mine is necromancy.
Ooh.
That's a good one. Mine is extinct.
Oh, that's a good one.
Good one.
Thanks to Rachel, she helped me with that.
That is a very good one,
me.
actually. So yes, join us for Revenant's Wake when that launches. Again, TBD, we'll announce it all in the near future, but we are all excited to get that going. But more importantly, everyone, well, for the last time for a while, thank you all so much for joining us. As always, keep being awesome and keep rolling those dice. Cheers.
Good job.
Wow!
We got Dealey to cry.
Oh yeah!
I know.
So proud of you.
Well, it's because
Such
it
a
was
good
like
answer.
real life and not, you know.
But still.
Fantasy is real life. We share these memories with each other.